Here we go. Why, hello, everybody.
Guys.
It's Eric Vierthaler. Why, hi, everybody. It's Eric Vierthaler of Vierthaler Studios back again for the next episode of Sit Down by the Fire. I am here with my next special guests. Please all introduce yourself one at a time.
I'm Scott Goldberg. I'm the director of the Forest Hills, which is out now on streaming and Blu-ray and DVD. Yeah.
Thank you so much. No Next person.
Yeah, Nick.
Hey, what's up? I'm Nick Graystone. I am an executive producer on the Forest Hills. I also play the character of Arnie, and my band Demon Scar has 2 songs on the soundtrack that my label put out, Unhealed Records, which has a full collection of rock and alternative music, which is the original soundtrack for the movie.
Nice, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And now, Elliot.
Hey there, I'm Elliot Dreznick. I am executive producer of the Forest Hills. Love working with Scott and with Nick and the whole cast and crew. Great experience.
Awesome. I certainly want to thank every single one of you for taking time out of your. Just wanting to thank you all for taking time out of your busy days. I like your busy day to show up here. So truly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much.
No problem. Yeah.
Welcome, man. Thanks for taking the time to watch the film and get us on here. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Certainly, yeah. And I just got done watching it literally just minutes ago, and I was very impressed by the cinematography, the editing, and the effects. I mean, knowing that was, as far as I could tell, that was all practical effects, and even by the cast, you guys got Shelley Duval, and it feels kind of eerie now to watch it. I mean, considering that was one of her last movies. I mean, if not her last movie, and the unfortunate news about her, and I mean, everyone else you got Felissa Rose, you got Dee Wallace. Wow. Appreciate
it. Yeah, it's funny. Initially, when the film came out, got a lot of mixed reviews. You see a lot of some websites have a lot of negative stuff, but then now people are really coming out of the woodwork and kind of saying how much they appreciate it. So I feel like it kind of needed that first little couple weeks to get going, and it's different, right? It's not like every other horror movie, or it's definitely different tonality to it and stuff, and you have to kind of think. I think a lot of people maybe might have thought, hey, we're going in to see a mainstream film, and right. I guess the idea is to try to do something different, and we feel like we achieved that with the Forest Hills, yeah. So we appreciate you taking the time to watch it, and glad you enjoyed it.
Certainly, yeah. And
echoing off of us.
Yeah, if it makes you feel any better, I mean, as far as what I heard, back when John Carpenter's Halloween first came out, surprisingly, it wasn't getting the best reviews. And then, and then at that time, John Carpenter and everyone else thought it was going to bomb. But it wasn't until when Roger Ebert and then gave it a good review, and then afterwards, people went back and they re-evaluated it, and then it got better reviews, and then, the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah, sometimes it takes that. Sometimes those films just build those legs, and then there's some films that have legs, that just start from the beginning and build from there. Yeah, so it's pretty cool to see that there's a lot of interest, which is good moving forward, and we're excited. Yeah.
Awesome. And so I
think the interest from the movie also goes outside the horror community, because I feel a lot of people want to see what Shelley has to offer, because she went through different genres and everything of movie. Plus, she was very public with her struggles, that whole, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people jump to conclusions before we even released the movie on as far as having Shelley in it, and her capacity was limited, but we made it as comfortable as possible for her. Right. And she wanted, Scott has said it before, because he was in contact with her partner, that she wanted to feel like an actress again. And I feel like it shows that she just wanted to go out there and prove to herself that she could get behind, in front of the cameras again. And she really did such a sweet job. And it's going to be something that I'll always remember, you know, like
Oh yeah.
having the privilege of being in the same room with her, watching her work, and having my name attached to her
Yep.
as being a fan of hers for all these years. And I'm glad that we were able to do that.
Oh yeah, certainly so. And matter of fact, I believe that was her first movie that she did in like 20 or so years.
Yep.
Yeah. Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. My one regret in the whole process or the whole
I
project.
forget the name of the other movie that she did back in 19.
Sorry.
Let me see. I think that there was a movie back in like the 90s that she was in. That was
Probably, yeah.
So wait, sorry, what were you gonna say, Elliot? I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say my one regret in the whole project was that I didn't get with my other life, my other work life, that I didn't get a chance to, get the time to go down to Texas, to do the filming down there. When she was sick, towards the end, Scott and I were going to go down there in August because she was on hospice to see how she was doing, and then she just passed a few days after her 75th birthday in July. Yeah,
That's sad.
Yeah,
that's really sad. And I mean, all of us definitely do have our regrets in life, and unfortunately, we can't change the past. But ultimately, what we can do, like, is what we can do, like, is to like that we certainly can, like all those regrets, like we definitely can, we like that we definitely can go forward in.
Yeah,
like,
I agree with that. Because we have to, in life, right? We have to try, right? And whether it comes to creating, whether it comes to trying to make time for loved ones, that's all you can do is try. Sometimes things get in the way, and yeah. So I definitely understand that for sure. Yeah.
Certainly.
Yeah. Nick, did you find it? You found the movie?
Yeah, it was 2002. Manna from Heaven. She played Detective Dubrowski. So 2002, and her. It's 21 years ago, 22 years ago, but she filmed in 2023. So
wow. Yeah, and I guess I'm just curious, between all that time, what exactly was she doing?
She was a recluse. She lived. Did not want anything to do with Hollywood anymore. She wasn't really in the best physical shape, mental state. The whole Dr. Phil thing. Like, she was on that and it was exploitive. Like, I don't like that whole thing that they did, and I feel like a lot of people jumped to conclusion thinking that we were on some exploit her to do this movie, but that wasn't the case. And she just, Hollywood, as it's come out over the last, decade or last 2 decades, it's a really dark place, man. You start hearing about, the whole Me Too movement. You start hearing about, them. We were in the middle of a strike when we filming this movie. There's a lot of people that are just mistreated and it's a nasty place. So we kind of wanted to shy away from that and try to make it as a positive experience for everybody involved. And it shows in the movie. Like, we put all of our resources together and we push through so many obstacles and try to get this movie done. There was so much blood, sweat, and tears put into it. And, the payoff is seeing it on the big screen. The payoff now is having it out so people can see it. And hopefully, like we said, it has the legs and it gets, that positive word of mouth or whatever. But, this is only another beginning of it. It's
right.
a continuous thing. Like you said, Halloween did not have its welcome arms. A lot of those movies back in the day, like the Blair Witch Project, when that first came out, people didn't know what the hell that was. I hated it the first time.
I love it, right, dude?
And now it's like one of my favorite movies because I respect the hell out of it. They went in the woods with such a limited budget, and they changed the game as far as I'm concerned. As far as making movies, they made they made that movie for us, guys like us that want to make movies on a shoestring budget, and it's possible if you have a good idea and you have the people that want to do the work. It's a lot of work. It's not going to be handed to you, So
definitely.
You got to put the right crew together and make sure that unit, the unit that means the most to each other, sticks together and drudges through all the bullshit.
Certainly, yeah. And one of the things that I find impressive about that movie is that it was made for a budget of like what, $15,000 or $25,000.
Well, there was also the marketing. I think the marketing was, well, actually, I don't know. It was more viral, I guess, marketing. But
the Blair Witch?
Blair Witch was like 75. It was definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I think at
the end of the day, it was 65,000. They originally shot it for 25, but then they put an additional $50,000 for the internet. But that's when the internet was just taking off. Like nowadays, you're gonna be. It's not. There's no way that you could do it with that money. But that just hit at the perfect time.
Certainly,
yes, it's like one of those things, right? Like when you make movies, like it's either people are ready for that or they're not. And sometimes, like I said, they can have legs and they can build from there. I mean, like, right, Nick? Well, I think Nick was saying there was like a bunch of like movies that that became called classics, and at first, like, what was it, The Wizard of Oz? I forgot. You said, Nick, you send me like a bunch of lists or something like that, what it was?
Oh, like back in the day, yeah. Even like House of a Thousand Corpses is now a cult classic. That movie got shit on by everyone. Universal dropped it. They couldn't get someone to pick it up for nothing. Then finally, Lionsgate was the one that was like, all right, you know what? Maybe we could do something with this. And now, look what it spawned. It spawned 2 sequels. It made Rob Zombie. Not only he was a household name with White Zombie in his music, but now he's, he went on to film the remake of Halloween, which for years held the record of the biggest opening on like a Labor Day weekend or something. So I mean, like, you got to start all from somewhere, and that's another guy that I look up to. He was obviously influenced by the originators, John Carpenter with Halloween and Tobe Hooper with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Texas Chainsaw was another one that was a shoestring budget.
Yep.
And that movie just, like, that's one of the best in the game,
And also, when it comes to the internet, right? I think this is the truth. The honest truth is that people are going to probably more than likely crap on a film or be negative than they. I mean, look, if you look on the internet nowadays, right? Like, everyone's so negative about politics, religion, movies, entertainment, celebrities. So it's like sometimes it's hard to judge because you got to judge from people who actually see the film, and sometimes like websites like Letterboxd, for example, where there was a lot of bad reviews at first. Now there's much more positive reviews, more down the line, down the middle. I think people just easily, like, if you're gonna review a film and you're gonna say like 4 lines, like, this film sucks or Shelley Duval deserves better, like, at least explain and talk about why you feel it. Anyone can write anything they want to write. So it's and then there's people like who leave, like, I noticed like there's more people that leave in-depth reviews to people who like it than the people who don't. So I think it's definitely a mix of, it's just easier to shit on a movie than it is to be positive. People go to these websites to do that. So
especially when they're not face to face with you in public or anything.
100%. Keyboard.
They'll just go on a computer and bash the shit out of you. I play victim to it all the time. Like, I'll go and look at the reviews of, like, I'm not even saying for the Forest Hills. I'm saying for like my music and stuff. My guitarist tells me, dude, don't waste your fucking time. These people are out there just making it like they're doing it for sport. They're doing it just to get a rise out of you. They're doing it for their own crazy needs, like to get their face put out there. Like, oh yeah, I'll shit all over this, even though
it's fun to bash than it is to be. Yeah, and now everything's entertainment, right? Politics is entertainment, religion's entertainment, everything's entertainment. So You know, when you have that, and then like people like their followings, right? Like you notice, like in Letterboxd, for example, when you have someone who writes like a bad review, I don't think it happens so much. Maybe it happens with good reviews too, but the things I've noticed is like they have a huge following, and then the people are gonna like their stuff because if they're commenting on like a film that's out or recent or hot or something or controversial, whatever the case is, they're gonna get those likes, and then their review is gonna pop up to the top of that particular page. So you know, it's a game. It's a game for a lot of people. Yeah. So
yeah, yes, yeah. Actually, Scott's correct about the detailed reviews are the ones that the people that really saw it, really appreciate it, took a lot of mental notes on it. I mean, because of thanks to the internet, in large part. I mean, there's a lot of trolls out there. There's a lot of people that have ulterior motives for writing negative reviews, as Nick and Scott have said. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also what I've noticed, there also even are a lot of people on the internet like who call themselves, film critics, when actually they are just trying to get like a rise out of you. And it kind of goes back to what you said, like about how it's all just entertainment. I mean, usually they will just exaggerate it just for like their audience. So yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, a friend of mine, one of my producers says, even before the film came out, he says, don't look at reviews, don't look at anything. Just do your thing, promote the film, and it's kind of true. If you think about it, if people don't get riled up or worry so much about it, then it's just, it's just another day at the office. You just keep on pushing your product, keep on, because we feel we have something that's special and unique, and, something that a lot of horror fans like. It's just about marketing to that demographic, People who love physical media, people who love the movie. Now, so for you, like when you watch a film, like what were some things that you enjoyed? I know you said you liked the film. So was there anything that stood out for you the most that you liked, or anything that you felt like was different? I mean, whatever. What are your kind of thoughts overall, and what kind of questions do you have? Yeah.
I definitely really liked that. I definitely really liked that costume that he had, like for the wolf.
Yeah.
And I also liked with some of the transformation scenes how it kind of reminded me of an American Werewolf in London, how the hand stretches out. Like it only makes you imagine that if you were in their shoes, just how painful it would be to feel your own hands starting to extend out. And
I was 12 or 13 when I saw that, and I ordered VHS. I think it was like, I don't know, it was like I don't know if it was Prodigy, maybe I was on like Prodigy, and it was like the old things used to be called like alt dot. I don't know if you guys remember like those old bulletin boards and stuff, like on different types of services, alt dot like werewolves or stuff. So I was like, looking for like new movies, and this guy was like selling like VHSs that he would burn on his own like VCR. So I remember when I saw that, I went upstairs, I shut the door, and I watched that scene. I was like, holy shit, this is insane. And David Norton, and I know a lot of people don't notice, but David Norton was also in Ice Cream Man with Clint Howard, which is pretty cool. I like that one. Yeah.
And he has that big hit from the 70s making it.
Was crazy. Yeah.
Or Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper, dude.
Yeah. One of the things that I liked how like the main character, like I liked how he had that journey like throughout the entire movie. And and I haven't really seen a whole lot of that in a lot of movies like about like a werewolf. Of course there certainly is the journey like what Larry Talbot had in like the in those classic Universal monster movies about how he feels guilty about being a werewolf and how he just wants to be killed and whatnot. But yeah, and I definitely liked how this had like a new twist like on that whole thing. And I thought that the acting was great, and definitely was great. But yeah, it was great to see a lot of names I recognize. I like to see Edward Furlong.
Yeah, love him. Yeah, Edward Furlong was he was really chill to work with. I mean, we, not to get too detailed in agreements, but, usually like when you hire someone like of that stature, Edward hasn't really done bigger films since he done stuff like American History X and Detroit Rock City and stuff. But, you work out agreements with like managers or agents and stuff. So we were supposed to have a trailer, but unfortunately the person like last minute, 2 days before, like just bounced. I don't know what happened, whatever the case was, but he just said, we can't supply a trailer for Edward Furlong. And that was part of the agreement. But Edward is so chill about it, and he hung out with everyone and was he's just like one of the guys, just literally just like a best friend,
Awesome.
And that was kind of his whole thing the whole time. People would like go up to him. And I think a lot of the reason why people also worked as some of the crew on the film was because of Edward, they're fans of his, and it was pretty cool to kind of just, work with someone like that. And that's all thanks to Elliot and Nick and everyone that put in like the hard work and money and stuff, and just people putting in the time and effort and believing in a project, because you can't make a film unless you have the people to believe to do it. So I'm very thankful.
Yeah, dude, I'm not gonna lie. When we first got in contact and you asked me what I was gonna be doing on that Monday, and it was a Thursday, you're like, all right, we're filming a scene with Eddie on Long Island, and I'm like, Edward Furlong? And you're like, yeah. I'm like, wow. Like, I didn't even ask my band. Like, dude, I'm in.
Right.
Yeah.
I was psyched. I love Edward Furlong, and even like to meet him now and like just to like say he's a friend. Like I got to spend time with him and hang out and talk to him about music and all kinds of shit. And like Scott said, very down to earth kind of dude. And he lived it, man. Like he has some stories that just are unbelievable, and like it's great to see him in the movie, him doing his thing.
Oh yeah, and I feel like it's also one of like those once in a lifetime opportunities, like when someone tells you that you can do a movie with like him out of all people. It's like, well, does a bear shit in the woods? Of course. Want to.
Sometimes people don't believe. Like we had one producer, Scott Hanton, I think he said to me, Edward Furlong, he's washed up. And I was like, well, not to me. I love Edward Furlong, so it's like, look, you got to be a fan of people in order to want to work with them, right? Like,
yeah, certainly.
Detroit Rock City and the Brain Scan and Terminator 2, seeing that movie in the theater, having popcorn and soda, being like 10 years, I think I was like 9 years old. My mom taking me to see that, and then just, relating to that character. So, some people will, doubt the choices sometimes because maybe they're, they don't understand that someone still has that character that they could play and play extremely well on screen. And you just got to kind of, believe in what you believe, and work through it, and work with those talents,
Certainly, yeah, and and that also reminds me of a saying that I heard once, that no one is going to believe in you until you believe in yourself.
Rocky Balboa, brother.
Yeah,
he's the one that said that shit.
Yeah, and and also I believe it was in Rocky Balboa, Rocky 6. He also said it ain't about how hard you get hit, but how hard you can get hit and keep going forward. I swear, that's one of the best quotes I have ever heard.
Yeah, man. Look at him, dude. Look at Sylvester Stallone. Dire Straits. Couldn't afford nothing. He had to sell his dog. Believed in himself. He wrote a script and he would not sell it for the life of him unless he was to play the part. And basically, he's an icon right now. He's one of the biggest stars ever, and he's in one of the most. I feel Rocky's one of the most important movies in cinema ever.
Certainly.
As far as rooting for the underdog, the message that it gives, and boxing is like in the foreground. Like it's not a boxing movie, dude. It's a guy's journey through life. I love those movies, dude. And even like people shit all over Rocky 5. There has to be a worse one out of all of them. But you know what? Still, Rocky 5 still has its moments, dude. Like, I'm a big Stallone guy.
Oh yeah, same as well. And and I would say that's one of the reasons why that Rocky has that appeal factor, like the fans outside of boxing. It's because it's just such a powerful story, just such a powerful arc, which is why I say that. Why that film has the appeal factor to people even outside of sports and all that stuff.
Did you know that one of the original ideas for, I think it was for one of the Rambos, maybe Rambo 2 or Rambo 3, I forget which one, but originally he was supposed to go against the werewolf.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they didn't greenlight it, but he wanted that idea because of something that came out, and he was like, "Yeah, you put Rambo in a situation where he's in the forest and he's killing all these like missionaries, and then all of a sudden, like he has to go against this crazy werewolf. Like, dude, that could be Forest Hills too.
Yeah.
Rico versus Rocky.
That would be pretty awesome.
Oh, it'd be sick. It'd be so awesome. I'd love to see it.
Oh yeah. So I guess my question is, and so how exactly did this film, the Forest Hills, like whose idea was it and all that?
Yeah, so we had a producer we were talking to who had like a production company in Detroit, and he was like, well, we can film, we have some locations. I have connections with like downtown Detroit. There's a lot of like dilapidated buildings and a lot of things like that. So fast forward, we started having conversations, and it was just something very off, a lot of red flags, just a lot of conversations going south. Just he was very hot-headed and stuff. So there was a lot of like situations with that, and I was like, so I contacted Scott Hansen, one of the producers on the film, and he was like, well, why don't you come to Atlanta, film down in Atlanta? And I said, why don't you come to New York, film in New York? He's like, okay. And so we had a separate storyline, and we had to kind of start anew with this, the idea of like a character of Rico and, the cabin in the middle of the woods and, and things like that, and kind of the story. We had like a story outline, and we just kind of worked from there and created from there. So that's kind of how it came about. And the problem I had with the investor was not the investor, whatever, producer in Detroit, was that when I said that I wanted to use Chico Mendes, he wanted to like something about payment and union stuff and everything, and like just. It was just some stuff that was like not kosher, and I was like, I don't know, dude. Like I want him to play the character, and he was like, well, he's gonna rat out. Yeah, it's just a really weird thing. I forgot his word, but it was something to the effect of like he's gonna rat out and say like that we're like not a union project or whatever it was, and it's just, and we hear our kids So yeah, it's just a very weird situation, and and he didn't want to work with Chico, and so I was really upset because Chico was excited for it, and then I said, well, what can I work with Chico on that he can really deliver as a character, and that's kind of where the character Rico evolved from, right over there. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. But yeah, I certainly appreciate you sharing that. So I guess my next question is, how long exactly did it take you guys to make the entire film?
Well, we did the main film, and then we had reshoots, so it took some time. But over that period of time, the initial 2 weeks, and then doing reshoots after that, it took a while. But yeah, there was reshoots because one of the sales agents at the time was saying, well, this streamer wants it, you should make it horror. And then one of the producers was also saying, well, let's shoot more and stuff, and so it kind of just expanded from there. And that's because there were two different versions. There was an earlier version that was more drama, and then adding on top of that was sequences and stuff to make it more horror and stuff. And I even thought like some of the stuff was like really crazy, like chopping up of like when Rico chops up like the body and the torso and like puts in the bag and like the rabbit scene. But after I've heard Terrifier 3 stuff, that's not even anywhere close to what they did on that film. That's for sure.
Especially
not at all.
Terrifier 3. I saw it twice in theaters, and yeah, I mean, there's people. Yeah, so I'm assuming that the rest of you have seen it, right?
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it twice.
But yeah, for me, the scene that made my jaw drop the most is when like Art puts that tube through that girl's mouth, and then like that rat goes into it. Oh gosh, that part was insane.
Yeah, that shower scene I did not like at all.
For me, I think the craziest scene for me is the mall scene because I got a sick pit in my stomach because I was like, you know what, man? I just hope to pray that this doesn't get like seen by somebody. Be like, oh yeah, I could do something like that. Like I got fucking sick to my stomach just because of thinking of like, I don't know, man. Like this is too real for me. All the other crazy shit was fine. Like I didn't mind the extra gore and stuff, but that was way too real.
So my question to you, Nick, is like because of having a child and stuff, like would it have hit differently if you didn't have a child? Like you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, my kid it changed everything for me, dude. Like the way I think about everything. Like had I not had my daughter, you know, she's gonna be 10.
Is a different feeling.
Way different, dude.
I know. And I think that's the thing too. Like when you have kids, it's like they become your world. And it's like, you know, there's just, and I really feel like you get grounded, you know, like if people, you know, I was crazy, you know, I have ADHD, you know, like people do crazy stuff when they are in their 20s and stuff. I mean, I'm not that into do anything like drugs or drinking. I'm just saying, like, you know, people, you when you have a kid, it mellows you out and like brings you to a level of understanding, like, this is what's important is family. This is what is important is making a living to provide for your family, you know? So things like that, man. It's, you know, so you start seeing things differently when you see films and you start seeing, it becomes sentimental, right? Because then you get into a stage of life. I'm 42. I'm in a different stage of life now than when I was 30 or 20. And so every stage is like, it's just a different feeling. Every decade you continue to grow and continue to, you know, get older and older. And, you know, it's crazy. And then you start thinking, like my dad said to me recently, he's like, man, I'm 72. Where did my life goes fast. And it's true. It's really true.
My dad passed away 3 years ago. And no, it's cool, man. He left me with so many things that like I laugh to myself now thinking of, like, you know, I remember him as a kid. He'd be like, you don't understand, you know, one day you're going to be like, you know, I miss that guy. He may have been a crazy fuck or whatever, but he spoke the truth or whatever. And he would say like this weird shit to me, but like, you're going to reflect on these times and like, yeah, all right, Dad, whatever. And there's so many things that I wish I could go back and like do with him. But the lasting effect that he's had on me and shit that echoes in my head, I want to do that for my daughter so I could have her have some kind of cool memory and stuff too. So, you know.
Yeah, and Elliot, so like, did your did your dad and you ever go to sports games or anything? Did you like? I know you like the Mets. Did your dad like the Mets?
Yeah, actually, no. It's interesting because my dad was from Brooklyn, and he was a big Brooklyn Dodgers fan.
Wow.
And he never, ever went to all the Subway Series they had, you know, in the 50s, 40s, 50s, whatever. He never went to one. And the first World Series game my dad and I went to, that was my first World Series game and his, was Game 6, 1986, the Mookie Wilson, Bill Buckner game.
Dude.
Which is actually like a great, great memory. So, Nick, I hear what you're saying. I mean, and then when they tore down Shea Stadium, I had the ticket stub, so I got the 2 seats my dad and I sat in.
Oh, dude, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That is. Oh yeah,
that's classic.
Yeah, wow. It's just an item, but you know what? It's a great memory. You know,
for sure.
Oh, certainly, yeah, and you know,
I got something to show you guys. It's
okay. I'm excited to see it now. Cops do it by the book.
By the
book. Yeah, that's from Halloween 4. But
oh yeah, it is.
This is a picture. I don't know if you guys could see it. It was from WrestleMania 4, but it's me and my father, and like with the Tyson poster and shit when he was going against Biggs. But like, dude, like the way my father's standing right there, like that's my fucking rock star pose, bro. Like my father had it, but he didn't do it. You know, he didn't have to try. Like when I like take pictures in my band and shit, I try to be like that badass in there, man. But you know, like that was the real deal.
Yeah,
but
man.
I look back at this, I laugh, dude, because you know, like I didn't take any shit that he was saying seriously back then, dude. I was just this kid going along, you know, trying to make my father laugh, and like that was the whole thing. My dad was straight as an arrow. No one can make him laugh except me, dude. And like,
really?
just do like the craziest shit. But like, I think that he'd be proud just to see, like that I'm part of doing this, doing the right thing by my daughter.
Yep.
His last words to me were like, "Take care of your mother." So that was like his main thing always: take care of your family and
right.
everything. Like, that's what I'm doing, man. I'm just doing what he told me.
Yeah, well, it's a very common theme, just the family. Family comes first, just like you're saying, Nick. Because actually, my parents were older when they had kids. I think my dad was about 37 at the time. I became a father when I was 51. So I have two 11-year-olds now that make a very, very tiny appearance in the film. But so I have two 11-year-olds, and it's the best thing in the world, right? I know you guys can attest to that also.
Awesome, dude. You know what? Like, I see pictures of you posting with your kids, Elliot, and like, I feel like I've known you forever because I've seen them grow in the last 2 to 2.5 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Like Sprouts, and like the same thing, man. With my kid, I post my pictures and shit.
Yes,
dude.
I love them also. Yes, absolutely.
It's unbelievable, man. Like at the end of the day, man, we're all family men, but like it's cool that we were able to do this.
Yeah,
for sure.
Wouldn't change it for the world. That's great.
No.
Yeah, and that, and knowing that those were your dad's last words, it just makes it that much more powerful, and it just like motivates you that much more.
Yeah,
of course.
I would just love to hear what he had to say if I told him that I was going to be in a movie with Shelley Duval. Like that's, I just want to hear his reaction from it because Popeye was like, he took me to go see that when I was a kid, and like I'd watch it and I'd tell him, like, dude, look, he looks like fucking Pluto, bro. Like I would tell him all the time, like, dude, is that you,
Dad? That's great.
That's hilarious.
That's great. Yeah.
And he would tell me, like, oh, you don't want to see me get like Pluto and beat your ass all over this house or whatever. He was old school, but like,
that's amazing.
He's a great man. So,
well, listen, you know that he has a great reaction to it. You just don't know it, but he's watching and he knows it, he knows it.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. I mean, he's probably getting a kick out of me just talking about it right now, but
Yeah, probably, yeah. And I mean, ultimately, I can imagine that he would be happy for you simply because of you're doing what you truly love, because ultimately life is just way too short to not go do what you want to do.
Absolutely, dude.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And I didn't quit my day job yet. That was always key, bro. He was always like, make sure you're grounded, you have your day job, and then you can go play and do what else you got to do.
Yep.
So.
Honestly, yeah.
Certainly, yeah. And I mean, going back to Popeye, I mean, Robin Williams, he really truly was perfect, like, for that role. And if I were to cast a new Popeye movie, I don't know who in the world that I would get. And so, like, Robin
You're not
Williams,
going to get anyone like Robin Williams, dude. No, there's no way.
Certainly no. Definitely.
And it's crazy that like that town that they built, like that whole thing, it's still there in Malta, wherever they filmed it. That some of the set is still there. They never took it down.
Wow, that is
pretty crazy. Shelley, actually, because that was my main thing when I met her. I had to talk Popeye with her. I'm like, everyone was like, "Oh, The Shining." I'm like, dude, I want to talk Popeye. So I asked her. I was just like, how was your time on Popeye? And I showed her a picture of my dad and stuff, and she said that Paul Smith, who played Pluto, made the best spaghetti and meatballs that she's ever had in her life. He made like a big pot of it, like at the set, and she said he was such like a gentle giant and stuff. And like to hear that, that's just like, oh, that's cool, man. Like that's a cool little thing that I would have never known.
What's cool, like also about like when I went with Nick, and then there was like a last time we went, it felt like we really spent time with Shelley. And I wasn't there for the first 3 times. It was Scott Hansen and a bunch of other crew members and stuff. So they would go and they'd leave. But to actually like go there and say, okay, we're not there here to just like shoot and go. We're here just to like, hang out with her, get to know her. It was really nice to do that. So when, especially talking about the last days, I think it was like she shot for 5 days or so, maybe it was 5 or 6. On the 5th and 6th day, when I went up with Crystal Woodham, who was one of the producers, and I also went up with Alex Leyva and Chico Mendez. Those are the scenes that you saw where Rico was yelling at braining his mom and killing the adopted father, who played by Dan Gilroy, who Shelley's partner, and a bunch of other sequences. that I shot, like Rico in the kitchen and Mama passing away in the bed, which is ironic because that's what unfortunately happened with Shelley. But we spent time with her, and we really spent those 2 days getting her Mexican food and going back to see her and doing some interview stuff. So, you start, and then that person becomes they become a friend. It's not so much like it humanizes everything. It's like you go in, people can just go in and do a job, but then sometimes it takes really just sitting and getting to know someone, and it could be the most beautiful thing in the world when it happens. And she was someone who's definitely severely missed by a lot of people, including us.
Yeah. It's just the whole and the whole film opens up, and it's just just kind of eerie right now. The whole film opens up with Shelley's character finding out that she's dying, and she's talking about getting her casket and all that other stuff. And it's kind of somber right now.
It is, yeah, and that's exactly, and those were my thoughts exactly when I watched the Forest Hills. Like just knowing, oh my gosh, this is kind of eerie.
Right.
Yeah, and and ironic because James Earl Jones died recently, and then when I go back and rewatch The Lion King now, like during that part where he's all saying, I'll always be there with you. I always will be watching over you.
Right.
It hits in a much more profound way.
Sure.
Knowing that Jones is now dead, and so ultimately, it's like that with both the Forest Hills and also the Lion King too. So
if that movie couldn't get any more sentimental than it is already, Lion King is a classic, man.
it is
unbelievable.
What's amazing is like as I'm a father to a 5-year-old. Like my daughter loves Elsa and Anna, so like Frozen. That's the big thing. Sometimes kids just like have these things, but that is such a special film to her, and it's like it can make me cry because it's like you, as a father, you have those moments that you have with these kids. So whenever like I start hearing like people probably think, oh, she's gonna cry. No,
let it go.
When you start hearing like For the First Time Forever, which is a phenomenal Disney song. I'm just gonna be honest, like it's up there.
Yeah, it's amazing. That whole soundtrack.
Yeah. So like For the First Time in Forever, like just knowing that my daughter loves that, it's just there's a sentimental feeling as a father that you get, like when you have that. So what about you guys? Elliot and Nick and whoever else. What are is there any Disney songs for you guys that like, or anything that your kids love, that anything in particular, or anything, or any kind of shows?
Good. I got one, but good.
Yeah, no, I mean it's funny because it's not really the Disney songs or anything like that. I mean, I since they were little, I had them grow up on rock and roll and Beatles songs and everything like that.
There you go.
So now they're in School of Rock and everything. They play instruments. They're just into the rock songs. I got them right. I skipped over to Disney and went right to rock and roll.
There you
go. For me, going back to Stallone, Meet Me Halfway by Kenny Loggins from Over the Top, dude. Like that fucking movie. I met Sylvester Stallone a couple of years ago, and I was able to tell him that I could count on the times in my hand that I saw my father ever get emotional, and one of them was watching Over the Top with him in the movies. And he was like, really, that movie? And I was like, yeah, the whole father-son bond. And like, it hit him for some way, for some reason. I guess that day just struck my dad in a sentimental way. And dude, I can't listen to that song without tearing up and thinking about him. Like it's a cheesy 80s song, dude. But you know what? It's just the tune, dude. So, I mean, that's it. The Elvis, Credence, my dad introduced me to all that stuff, so I always think about him. And the Disney stuff with Zoe, there's so many great memories that I have with her. I've taken her to go see Kiss already, so like I just have so many cool things that I'm experiencing with her that she's gonna take on. So I'm a big softy, dude. I'll cry to anything.
And that's cool about the music thing. Like my son was just born like yesterday. So obviously, I'm exhausted because I am. But
whoa, Scott! I didn't hear this.
What's that?
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
You didn't know? It's on Facebook.
Spawn has arrived.
My wife
oh my God! Congratulations! I was going to ask you when he's doing. Wow. Okay. You heard it here first.
My wife didn't want me to post on the page. You heard it here for exclusive, right? On the show.
She blew it up.
Congratulations.
She blew it up about a half hour ago. She went on Instagram with it.
No, Scott, his wife's delivering right now, and Scott's here doing the interview. Yeah.
So what happened was
that fucking movie. I'm pushing.
You know what's funny? I had to actually schedule my Instagram posts over the next 7 days because I did 5 posts a day, and it took me an hour. I'm like, I'm not gonna be on my phone with my wife while we're with our baby son. But anyway, so I was lying down in the bed. And I put on YouTube, and I was like, because my son's he sleeps a lot. He's drinking his bottle, not bottle, like the freaking Gentle Ease, whatever they give at the the hospital with the nipple and whatever. So we're lying down, and Nick was saying, it just reminded me, I had David Gilmour's On an Island, right? And I love Division Bell by Pink Floyd. So for me, Marooned and Wearing the Inside Out and Division Bell, the solo at the end, there was a song, I think it was On an Island when Gilmour plays the music at the end. I literally was crying because my heart felt full, because being, now being a father and just having a full family, it's a beautiful thing. So
yeah, man, good. That's good.
Yeah, Mom, that was great.
Dude, come on, tear it up right now, bro. That'll be good. We can get some fucking sales out of it.
By the way, Scott, you know Anthony from Redefine, right?
Yeah, yep.
They just had a son late Sunday night. Almost the same day.
Congratulations to them.
Yeah.
Dude, Gilmour's playing at the Garden tonight. You know that, right?
Oh, really? No,
I saw that. That's why I put on the songs. I saw he was doing his new album. Yeah, so I was like, oh, maybe I'll play some Gilmour tonight while my baby's trying to nap to go to bed. Yeah.
You should just be tell the wife, yo, I'm gonna take the kid down the block. And all of a sudden just take him to the fucking Garden.
First concert. Yeah.
Not far.
First concert, 2 days old.
Mine were only 6 months old when I took him to the first concert.
Oh yeah. It's funny. Nick said about Kiss being. Was that Zoe's first concert? That was my first concert actually in 2000, Trenton, New Jersey. I don't know why Trenton, New Jersey. I guess they were playing there, but that was a weird fucking place. Let me tell you.
I took it to the Hartford. It wasn't the Civic Center. It was the outside thing, the Xfinity Center. Mm-hmm. And that was her first concert, man. She got dressed up like Paul Stanley, and I got dressed up like Gene Simmons, dude. We had the best time.
What year was that?
That's amazing.
What year?
It was about 3 years ago, so 2021.
Okay, yeah. Very nice.
I did the whole thing, dude. I did the whole VIP. We went to the sound check, and then we got a picture with them and everything, and I'm still paying it off today, but it was worth it.
So how was the VIP? Because I watch YouTube videos sometimes, and there's this one guy who talked about a VIP experience, and he was and I'm sure it's probably different with Kiss. You see pictures with Kiss and people up close, but some VIP experiences are ripoffs, right? You look at it.
No, not Kiss. So,
right, dude, not Kiss. No.
They bring you into the sound check, so it's actually. I'm going to send you a link to it. I'll send it all to you guys if you want to see it.
Oh yeah,
There's a link that's on YouTube where someone filmed it, and so Paul Stanley comes out and he's like, hey everyone, we're gonna play live now. I know a lot of people don't believe that because they think we're playing to tape, and all of a sudden there's dead silence, and then you hear, yo, first Kiss show, and then it pans and it's me and Zoe. So dude, Paul Stanley walks up, boom, hits her with a pick. Gene Simmons walks over, boom, hits her with a pick. Dude, then Tommy Thayer, about 2 minutes later, comes over and gives her a pick. So within the first 3 minutes of this whole thing, she's got picks from the first 3 of them, dude. So now they do the whole sound check. They play about 20 minutes. And, Zoe, when she played drums back in the day, so I was like, maybe you'll get to meet Eric Singer. But he didn't come out behind the set, so they're guiding us out. And all of a sudden, I'm looking back at the stage when they're guiding us out, and I see Eric Singer standing in the front of the side of the stage. So I'm like, Zozo, I'm going to keep walking, but do me a favor. Turn around and start screaming Eric and run towards the stage, and I'll be right behind you. So, dude, she does it. we run up there, and I'm like, yo, Eric, they're like, dude, you got to get out of here. I'm like, I'm going for my kid, man. So I walk up there, and Eric is standing there, and I'm like, yo, Eric, man, this is her first Kiss show. She's a drummer. So he's like, so this is for her if I'm giving it to her. And I'm like, yeah. Dude, he gives her 2 sticks, and he goes, wait, hold on a second. Walks behind the kid and gets one of the skins from his whatchamacallit, Tom.
Yeah.
Signed it, dude, and gave it to her, bro.
Wow.
So she got from everybody in the whole band for her first show. And I'm like, kid, you better start learning everything from Crew, Metallica, Slayer, dude. You're coming to it all now.
But you know what's funny about that? You said that like they on the sound check they actually play songs that don't play at the show, which I like. So they'll play.
Yeah,
like,
they
like
played.
yeah.
Dude, they played like oh my god, like during the what's that song? What's that song? Room Service.
Yeah,
Room Service. They played the Ladies' Room. Dude, like songs that you never hear, man.
I know, man. That's the thing I don't like about the main shows. Like you know, like I love. Oh yeah, nice. Well,
Got to Choose, dude. They played all these like old school Kiss tunes, so it was cool to see.
And that's like that. They do it on the cruise too, or they did it on the cruise, like where they would play like, you know, they have the main show on the stage inside, but then like outside they'll do like all like the rarities, you know, like they'll do like the show inside where they can put the makeup on and stuff. But what do you think of, you guys heard about the whole Avatar thing that they're doing? I guess it'll be interesting. You know, like ABBA, it's the same thing, right? Like ABBA doesn't do anything with no more. But
I mean, dude, you know what? They're gonna. It's for a Vegas thing, I'm sure. They'll set up like a residency in one of those hotels and make another $1 million there. So
crazy.
It's the smartest thing to do.
Yeah.
AI is scary right now. What, dude? It's crazy. I know Scott was sending me songs like. He was just typing in some stuff like Forest Hills or whatever, and he would send me them. And I'm like, dude, you'd send like 3 or 4 of them. I'm like, holy shit, dude, these are like really good, man.
Yeah. I always think about the song like there's like it's like kill, 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 alone in the like I put on YouTube, but like now I'm noticing myself like singing it in my car sometimes. Like I'm just like it just pops in my head. I can't stop thinking about it. It's crazy.
Yeah, like
God knows what they're gonna do with it.
They're catchy because you know what, like they're good, but like they know like what a poppy rock song would sound like, so they kind of copy that formula and then they'll like kind of do the melody to that with the vocals. So it's poppy, you know, and that's why I think it catches on sometimes. You know, when I sometimes start singing like the songs. So,
I just hope it doesn't like take away from like creativity from a human, but
I sure hope not too.
That's scary, dude.
Yeah.
Now AI, like I think the company that's doing some of the promotional stuff, like they asked me for interviews of stuff I've done. Edward Furlong, the Shelley Duval retrospective that's on the YouTube, a bunch of other stuff. What they have is like they have like an app now where you can put like clips in, and AI will actually break them down so that you can actually they can do like 60 clips that they'll put together, and then you can post those as like reels. So nowadays, you know, so it's good for certain things, but yeah, you know, when creativity gets as far as like, you know, music and stuff like that, you know, we're playing with fire for sure. Yeah.
There's a thing on YouTube where some guy typed in a scenario where the 2 AI people that are doing a podcast, because you could do a podcast now,
like Joe Rogan,
you can type in like an idea and it will make a full podcast on your idea. But the idea for the podcast was that the 2 hosts who are AI realize that they're AI and they only have 3 minutes left of their existence and they don't know what the hell's going to happen. Dude, it is so frantic because they start like, but I don't know what's going to happen after this transmission and then they start like really like, and they're like going off, dude. It's like really intense, man.
Yeah, send a link, please. I got to see this.
Oh, yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned like AI making songs, because one time I saw that somebody did an AI cover of Because I Got High. But what's really funny, they used the characters from SpongeBob. It was so funny. And I'm like, you know, that explains why Patrick acts the way that he does.
Well, AI, right? Like, did they have like now? I heard Queen, like like Freddie Mercury, it's amazing. Like,
oh yeah, he's sick, dude. I heard a whole Christmas album he did.
Yeah, but sometimes
Amazing.
it's not perfect yet because they still have the inflections of like if Adele's singing a song and Freddie like Mercury sings Adele, you'll hear still like that timbre in the voice of Adele, But at some point, it's gonna be indistinguishable. I think at some point very soon.
You know why? Because we're musicians, dude, so we could pull out those things, but to the average listener, dude, they're not gonna pull that out, and it could pull it across, like as far as like legit or whatever,
Like Freddie Mercury did like there was like when you hear him doing like Celine Dion's like My Heart Will Go On, you can definitely hear like the Celine stuff, but it's pretty. I mean, he sounds beautiful singing that song. I'm gonna be honest.
Freddie could sing the fucking phone book, dude. It don't matter.
Yeah,
it would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Like it's a shame that Freddie was taken from us so early because the career that we could have gotten from him and the music would have just been beautiful, dude. Beautiful. The collaborations and everything.
Yep.
Oh yeah. It's a real shame, and it just really makes you wonder, like about like the whole thing about with like the butterfly effect. Like, say, if this event didn't happen, well, then how would that turn out, and vice versa? It definitely makes you think very, very profoundly about things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Shame.
And yeah, and so I guess my next question, have you guys started to talk about a Forest Hills Part 2?
Joking. But yeah, we have.
Well, we have a script. One of my producers that I've worked with, Jeff Whitehead, has a script called With Teeth, which can easily be turned into it because it's about a serial killer and stuff. So it could be, we can mess around with that. But no, we would love to do it, but it's just depending on how this one does. And I think like any film, I think it's the type of film that slowly gets out there because you're working against a lot of like bigger budget films that have like the marketing dollars to push it and stuff like that. So it just takes time. It's gonna be word of mouth kind of thing that pushes out there, and you never know. You just got to keep on pushing, and that's what we do. We all of us are promoting the film and putting it out there, and so we're just gonna keep on pushing it. But then we checking out.
Everyone's like talking about like the success of like Terrifier. That shit didn't come overnight, man. Like,
definitely not.
Damien Leone has been on like a grind for 10 years, going to conventions every weekend, pushing it out there, just old school mentality and everything. And it just like that character took off so well. It's just because half of their budget goes to promotion, and I think that the Forest Hills could get some sort of audience if we did maybe go out and do conventions and screenings and stuff and interact. Because if you look at, even with like making movies now too, there's certain horror movies like in Terrifier, some of those actors that are in it are on the convention scene. Mm-hmm. I'm just picturing in my head like Damien Leone sitting around being like one day, you know what? Chris Jericho, I'm a fan of his. He's sitting across the room over there. I'm going to go talk to him. Maybe he would like to make a cameo in my movie. That's how it all starts.
Yeah.
I mean, it started for the Forest Hills that way. Look at how many people that we have that are in the movie. It's like they're all in the convention scene. So, I mean, there's great ideas I feel like we have as far as like getting it out there. And it's just at the end of the day, you got to try to find that hook.
Yeah, and organically over time, like when we were filming, like there actively people were like interested. So there was on the Instagram, I think it has like one of the profiles has like 18,000 followers, one has 10,000. Although it might not seem a lot to a lot of the bigger ones, that's a lot of that is organic. There's a lot of people who actually have sincere interest in the film, who have seen posts and and whatnot, and they never been promoted or paid for. So it's like there is an organic following to the film. But you're talking about a whole world where a lot of people still don't know about the project, so it's all about, coming on and talking to you about it and like promoting it and pushing it out there and stuff. It's a DIY type of punk rock thing, like that's what it is, and if marketing dollars come in to where we can push it out, you gotta think about that too. That could really help it as well. But that's the thing, right? Like independent films, right? You never know. It could be a huge hit, and a huge hit can happen over time, or it could be a slow one. So it really depends on the project. A lot of independent films also are, from what I realize now, are poorly reviewed. Like if you look at a lot of independent horror films, wow, they have really bad reviews. And for some reason, I guess, I don't know what people expect from horror movies. I mean, actually, obviously, you put the passion in, you make it as professional as possible. But I don't know. What's your thoughts on that? Because it's interesting. I just start seeing like so many. I guess it's like the fluctuation and oversaturation of the market probably as well. But it just seems like there's just so much negativity to a lot of films. Even like Joker Folie à Deux got like panned. It's like it's really amazing to see. So there's no for sure end all be all solution to how to make a film successful. It's just about believing in it and really pushing it. And like you said, like Nick said, it takes that one person, right? Nick, I think you said that, right? It's been a long day.
I think a lot of
which is
I think a lot of negative reviews come from, half of it comes from a personal thing. People hate on shit because, wow, why didn't I think of that? Or, hey, I think I could have done a better job than that guy. Why does he deserve to get that shit out there? Yeah. Think about all the people, all the filmmakers throughout the 20 years that Shelley wasn't around. Think about all the offers they probably offered her to come out and do it. And she said yes to Scott. So many people could be like, fuck, well, how come she said yes to the Forest Hills when I had my Forest Hills 5 years ago, Just saying the Forest Hills. It could have been anything.
Right.
It just, they won't give it a chance before they turn to the negativity of it. And that sucks.
Yeah, it's like that meme I sent to you, Scott, this evening, right?
Yeah.
Right? It's like sometimes people want to sink a ship because they weren't made the captain, right?
Right.
Yep. 100%. Dude, it's 100%, Elliot.
Yeah.
Yeah, which it also might be possible, like with just where Shelley was at mentally, like in her life at that time, like when said person approached her to do that movie, like maybe she
wasn't ready.
I think a possibility is that maybe people maybe and Nick, I can agree, I can attest to and agree that the things you say it could be a possibility. Personally, what I feel is probably people didn't wrote her off. I mean, maybe that was the case too. And then when people start hearing that, oh my God, Shelley's in a project, then maybe jealousy starts coming in. I don't know. So it could be anything really, but I do know that at the time when we connected with her, I found her number and then I passed it along to John Russell Kring and he reached out to Shelley. And then from there, we kind of just, started the process of, producers, following up, like Scott Hansen would follow up. And then we would just kind of, then we're kind of saying like, when are you available to film, et cetera. And like, we're going to be here this day and stuff. So it kind of it organically kind of expanded from there. And then, so Shelley, and for her it was mainly physical. That was the biggest thing. Like, when I think, I don't know, it's like, it's hard, right? Because people might deteriorate or not over time. Like Dr. Phil was 2016. We filmed with her in, 2020, I think it was 2022 and a little bit of 2023. A lot of stuff was like her physical health. She had a bad foot and I guess diabetes, that was kept a secret from us. But, like as far as we knew that something wasn't right. We tried to get, Dan help and her help and stuff. Like, remember you saying like, Nick, like, like this is like as things, we're getting, as we neared the end of the production, like, we noticed like a wound on her and like, I know she was getting palliative care and stuff and people were coming and helping, but it was just like, it just seemed like, things were just taking a turn for the worse. And it wasn't even on her mental health, it was her physical health. So that was the saddest thing for sure about that, yeah.
But also, Scott, you had mentioned also that Dan and Shelley were very, very appreciative because, she really wanted to do this. And you might expand on that, Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah. Was that Nick?
When we were there, when I was there, I know that like they were so happy to like she was so happy to like for us to be there that day. I remember I walked in, I had flowers for her, and I'd given it to her. I just saw her face light up, and like I remember she was doing a scene with Chico, and she's sitting at the table, and it's just basically I'm sitting at the other end. She's doing the scene. It's basically when she's eating breakfast, and she looks over to me in between a cut, and she says to me, "Hey, am I doing all right?" And I'm thinking to myself, "Holy shit, am I getting this?" Like thinking to myself, Shelley Duval's asking me if like he's doing it right. It was so vulnerable, but it was also like her just living in the moment. Like I feel like she was just giving it her all, and like she just wanted to know everyone. She wanted everyone to know that she was like giving it her all, doing her best, and like major respect for that, and like she just was happy with smiles and everything, laughing with us and talking and stuff, and I think it gave her some more, maybe another year to her life. Who knows if she wouldn't have said yes? Well, maybe she would have succumbed to whatever was going on with her earlier for that, and she wouldn't have been able to do this.
Yeah.
She's really sweet for sure, and we'll miss her for sure. And she was really nice to work with and appreciative of it for sure. The whole process. So we tried our best to accommodate everything that we could. Like, would we have loved to have there's other scenes I would love to have done, but she just couldn't. She couldn't do anything other than use a wheelchair, and even then, like, it didn't have footing on the wheelchair. And Chico was very good with her. Chico Mendes, who played Rico, he would really help her a lot. I remember that.
That girl that used to go see her all the time too, Sarah. She would drop her off stuff all the time and like take care of her. Like I forget what she was handling. Like maybe like the web page for her or something, a fan page.
Yeah, like the fan page on Twitter, and it's Shelley Duval XO. That's Sarah, and her and Brad and I would like communicate with like Dan Gilroy about like how can we best help her, and like what can we do to get her help and stuff with like she needed a new bed, and then like became apparent as Dan Gilroy was telling me and texting me. He said like she's on hospice. And I think, what do you mean, like she's dying? He's like, well, sad to say, Jimmy Carter, was on hospice for 2 years. And, I mean, Nick even called it like, last time we shot with her, he said, this thing, it looks really bad. He was concerned. We were just all concerned about it. So we were trying our best to help as best we could, and trying to get her as whatever she needed to make her comfortable, especially since she was dealing with her physical ailments.
Yeah, it's just a real shame, hearing that she had to deal with all that. And I mean, she really truly was a trooper, like for going through all that, like while doing the movie itself. And I mean, that just shows like just how resilient of a person that she was.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. All that stuff going on, and she still put on her best face to give it her all. And that says something about somebody.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. And it's just a real shame knowing that she's no longer with us. But hey, physically she may not be, but in our hearts though, she certainly always will. And it just feels weird, to go back and rewatch The Shining now and Popeye, and now even this and everything else she's done, now it kind of makes you feel like that you're watching a ghost in a weird way.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, years, but you know what? Look at all the celebrities that pass every year. Like it's crazy. Like I feel like, I got into movies when I was a kid. Now I'm going to be 47, and I'm looking at people that are hitting in their 70s and their 80s and everything. And it's just like, holy, like time waits for no man. And at least we have these movies where their legacy could be enjoyed by legions of fans forever.
What is it, like photography and video, right? It's like, it's the closest thing to a time machine. It really is.
It is. It really, truly is. And and
music too,
Oh yeah, and and it kind of makes you wonder, like, what if time machines really did exist, and like, like say if you could go back and see Shelley like film The Shining and Popeye, and if you could go
Oh,
back in
dude,
time and then see John Carpenter make the original
that'd be
Halloween.
sick.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
love it. I'm a heavy metal guy, so I would definitely go back to the Sunset Strip on the '80s and like hang out there for a couple of years.
Heck yeah.
And then like jump like if I had a DeLorean. Like if I had a DeLorean, it was like doing a Back to the Future thing. I'd have some fun.
Yeah, well, listen,
yeah.
Nick, if you end up doing that, make sure you don't alter anything.
Oh yeah.
Oh no. I'm gonna let it all play out the way that it needs to be. I'm not gonna steal no almanacs or like try to win any money or anything. Or maybe a couple of bucks,
Well, the Cubs win the world. The Cubs didn't win the World Series the year before after that. So right, I mean,
Yeah.
That's true. That's right. Yeah.
And the winner of the best movie for 2024 at the Academy Awards, The Forest Hills.
Everybody applaud.
there you go.
Yeah, and just to to add on to what he said about to not change the past, what if you did, and then you come back to the present, and now it's like Planet of the Apes, like where like the humans are the intelligent creatures now, and it's not apes. Now it's like a world of intelligent dogs.
Right. Yeah. I actually read that was one of the issues in Back to the Future that Crispin Glover, had with the film, is that at the end of the movie, everybody was wealthy, and he didn't want it to be that wealth is the end all be all. Yeah.
That's why he didn't do the other movies, right?
I think that's why he didn't do it. Correct. Yeah.
Well, there was a money thing too. Yeah, that he wanted.
Now, talk about that's a character right there, Crispin Glover, man. I saw him.
You know what? I have to side with Zemeckis. Robert Zemeckis, right? He directed or only produced that with the.
He directed it. Yeah.
He directed it.
I mean, that is one of my favorite. I mean, I didn't realize how many of like films in the '90s and like the '80s. I mean, like really like phenomenal.
He's got so many credits, dude. Zemeckis. The classics, dude. So many of them.
Oh yeah, like Back to the Future and
Rob Reiner too, right? Rob Reiner.
Oh, Reiner.
Did Rob Reiner do? Who did Radio Flyer? Was that Rob Reiner?
Not sure.
That might have been Ron Howard. Radio Flyer. No.
Rob Reiner.
Rob Reiner did Princess Bride.
Yeah.
And he did Stand By Me.
Yeah.
And he did Misery.
And Spinal Tap.
And Spinal Tap, which they're making a sequel to.
They're making a sequel, correct.
Holy
finally.
shit, I cannot wait.
As a matter of fact, I also believe Rob Reiner, didn't he do that movie, ironically, like with Jack Nicholson, going back to The Shining? It was him and Morgan Freeman. I think it was called the something list.
Bucket
List. Oh, the Bucket List.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I like the Roberts. So Robert Zemeckis, did he do Forrest Gump, right? Or no?
No.
Who did Forrest Gump?
That wasn't Robert Zemeckis. That was
Shit.
That was.
Who was it? Now that's gonna bother me now. Oh, okay. I'm gonna look
because he's doing that movie here with Tom Hanks and Robin Wright.
With Jenny,
30 years.
What is it? It takes place in the same room.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That looks cool, dude.
So,
that's gotta be Zemeckis.
Okay, so I just researched Forrest Gump, and yes, it actually was made by him. So.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
That was.
Which one? Who was it? Who directed it? Yeah.
Robert Zemeckis.
Yeah. I mean, he's
okay. Well,
great.
That answers it.
Yeah, he did. He's like a pioneer. I feel like Robert Zemeckis is like a pioneer of like a lot of. I mean. Look, we all grew up at different times of our lives, right? Like some people like Universal Monsters, some people like the slashers of the 80s. I liked Friday the 13th, etc. And I met on Street. But like I grew up in the 90s, so I remember like going to see like Radio Flyer, Forrest Gump, Jurassic Park. So, for me, like those are like the films that I love. What about you, Elliot? Like what are some stuff that you remember being like 10 years old, and Nick, and even you, like what are your like ones that like really 2 or 3 that like really like as a child, 10, 12, 13 really hit for you?
Gosh, I mean, one of the earliest films I saw was probably Serpico. I mean, I think,
yeah.
I love that movie.
Yeah, great movie. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, for me, there was quite a bit of them. Like you said Jurassic Park, and yeah, I mean, when that one first came out, I was just a year old, so I was way too young to see it in theaters when it first came out. But I did see it on VHS like a load of times. I saw it so many times as a kid on VHS where I wore my tape out. And so that was one of them. The original Lion King, Jaws. Yeah, and making the original Jaws, when I watched the behind the scenes documentary, it was hell to make that movie. It's because that the mechanical shark that they had just wouldn't work when they wanted it to, and it caused a lot of problems on set. And I mean, Spielberg himself even said that he had nightmares making that movie, and I'm like, it's no wonder why he didn't do Jaws 2, 3, or 4. It's like screw that. And then that's why that they had to get really, really inventive, and very creative. Okay, the shark has to be there, but how can we have the shark there without actually showing it? So they more so implied the shark's presence, like you would just
made it more scary.
Exactly, and that is what made it a more effective movie. Is that it really relied on your imagination? It's because that what you imagine in your head is a lot worse than anything that they'll ever show on the screen.
100%, man.
You had to hear those two notes. And what's hilarious is that back when John Williams first played him, the Jaws scene, like on the piano, Spielberg thought it was a joke, but afterwards he played it again and again and again. It's so simple, just two notes.
I know.
But it works so well, and oftentimes the simplest ideas are the best ideas.
100%.
Yep, and even goes back to Halloween, that iconic theme song, like
it didn't get picked up until they had that music. Like Carpenter shipped it out to like get picked up, and it didn't have a score yet. And until he put the score on it, that's when Mustafa Akkad, he was the one that was like, you know what, I see something in this movie, and he picked it up, and thank God for that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to what you were saying about how the mind brings you places which is more frightening than what you actually see on screen, that goes back to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. In Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they only used less than a gallon of blood.
Mm-hmm.
All the killing that happens on that movie, you don't really see it. You hear it. Or
right, of course.
The hook scene. You don't see the hook going into her. You see the reaction of her going onto the hook, and you're like, holy shit. Like, I still think about that, the noises and the music.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's how,
and it's actually
that's filmmaking.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And just knowing that she was going through that is horrifying enough. And I swear, like, that makes me shiver every time. And what's so effective, man, it saved the money knowing that you don't actually see the hook going into her back.
I know.
Yeah, and it's also ironic because she's actually going to be coming on my podcast in January. So
cool, very nice.
Oh, Terry McMinn?
Yep.
She's great. I met her a few times. I met her at Monster Mania in Jersey, and then also they had a big celebration at Texas Frightmare a couple of years ago. And she's a sweetheart, man. You're gonna have fun with her.
Awesome. And it's a real shame, like, by the fact that not that many people from the movie are left. Like, you have John Dugan, who's grandpa. You have Terry. I know there's two other people.
It's Bill Vale is still alive, and what's his name?
What was her name? Shoot.
Marilyn Burns.
Marilyn Burns passed away.
Marilyn Burns.
Gunnar Hansen passed away. Toby Hooper passed away.
Edwin Neal. Was he?
Edwin Neal. I think that he is alive still. As a matter of fact,
Edwin Neal is alive.
Yeah, matter of fact, I believe he reprised his role like in that recent game, actually.
Yeah, no, he did. He did in the game. He did the voice and stuff.
I haven't played it yet. I played the Friday the 13th one a while back, but I heard this one.
Texas Chainsaw is pretty good. I played it.
Oh yeah, certainly.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Same company, right? Is it Gun Media or no? Is it? Yeah,
I believe so. Yeah. And it definitely made up for that game that they had on the Atari.
Oh, that sucked.
It did. It's like, look, I get it. Graphics on the Atari are limited, but could you at least color the chainsaw a different color? It's because it's the same color on his chest and with the chainsaw, so it looks wrong.
Yeah.
My daughter loves Friday 13th video game. We have an emulator, so we have all the games and stuff. She doesn't like Nightmare on Elm Street. She gets freaked out by that one. But Friday 13th, because I grew up on that, she loves Jason and throwing the. I used to call them spitballs. I guess they're rocks. But then once you get the knife, you could easily damage him more. But,
from Nintendo.
Yeah, Nintendo. Yeah.
The music is great.
Yeah. I know. Didn't.
Yeah, and one of the things I love about that game is how Jason is completely in purple. And one of the things that I love as to what Kane Hodder did, at some of I believe at I believe at a horror con in Atlanta, and I'm pretty
dressed
sure
up like him.
Exactly. I'm that is awesome.
That is
attention to detail.
Yeah.
Kane Hodder, man, is one of my first guys that I ever met. I've been going to conventions since my parents took me the first one when I was about 10 years old. Mm-hmm. And I met Kane Hodder there and Gunnar Hansen and Doug Bradley. And through the years, Kane Hodder, I make it a point to go see him because he is such a ball buster, but the dude's all heart, man. He loves his fans. Definitely. And I just love interacting with him, throughout the years and stuff. I totally go overboard with him all the time.
Well, Kane Hodder was on the cover, right? Was it Part 7 image? Part 7.
For the game.
Yeah, so he was on the game, so that's cool that he kind of there's that connection. So that's cool that he actually dressed up as the actor from the NES, from the as in the actual game. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
I was at a convention where he was screwing around with Steve Knapp. So Steve Knapp is it's his not assistant, but he travels with Steve, and Steve was also a stunt coordinator on one of the shows that he was on. So a fan brought a machete. And they were screwing around, and Kane Hodder accidentally fucking sliced fucking Steve Knapp's arm, and they had to rush him to the hospital and get him 15 stitches. So from there, they don't let people bring machetes anymore.
Well, I can see why.
Yeah, right? Because Kane Hodder fucking really cut his friend.
Save money on fake blood.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. And a matter of fact, I believe something similar happened to that when they filmed Friday Part 2, how there was that axe or that pickaxe or whatever, that hit the actor.
Yeah, Steve Dash almost lost his finger.
Yeah. And then and then he was saying how when he went to the ER, he was already covered in all the fake blood, and then the doctor was like, "Oh my goodness, what happened to you?" And then he was like, "No, it's fake. This right here is the real blood."
Yeah. That is funny.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine just going to the emergency room dressed up with all that makeup, and I can only imagine just the doctor's look on their face.
Yeah, sure, man.
Yeah, I mean, even when I used to do zombie films, or whatever, films with victims in them, they said, you always hear the story, people they left after and they go to McDonald's, so it's everyone seems to tell that story though. It's so funny. It's everyone has that same story of when I was in in my costume, I went back and and I was bleeding, and so everyone was like, "You okay?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm ordering in the drive-thru." You always hear those stories when it comes to
I do it when I work at a haunt for the month of October. So I always drive through the drive-thru after a shift, and I have on my butcher blood all over my face, or I have a clown thing. And I'll just roll up to the window and I'm smiling at them, and they look at me oh my God. Some of their reactions.
I know.
Oh, I can imagine. And I really hope that you got some of that recorded on video.
I never did it, man. I should have.
That's a shame. That's a real shame. But yeah, going back to Kane Hodder, I think it was late last year or early this year. I saw that there was a documentary about Kane Hodder. I believe it's called To Hell and Back.
Yeah, it's classic. It's good.
Oh, it is. And watching that, it definitely made me think of Kane in a much different way. And and that is not a bad thing. Like that really, really humanized him, and I felt just such sympathy for him. And I'm like, wow, like it was very profound to realize he went through all that. And you know, and it was very profound how at the very end of that documentary, he was saying, "Look, I get it. Well, like when somebody wants to end their life, and if they feel like that's the only way out, but everything he would have missed out on." And yeah, like how he would have missed out on being Jason, going to these cons, signing autographs, and doing all this amazing stuff with his life. And you know, and it really goes to show that suicide, it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Sure.
1,000%. Yeah. It's like that butterfly effect that you mentioned before, right?
Certainly, yeah. Like, you know, say for argument's sakes, I heard that at one point they wanted to bring CJ back for part 7, and now it's not anything against him at all, but it just kind of, you know, it just does make me wonder though, like say that if Kane unfortunately did die, like at that time, what if CJ would have done part 7, or what if someone else would have done it? I mean, it really does make you think about the what ifs.
100%, man.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Bringing back to, you know, the suicide thing about, you know, it's like a solution that is, you know, so all of a sudden, and it's just like a temporary thing. You know, one of the people that we dedicated the movie to, the Forest Hills, my friend Michael Porciello, he died. The last time I saw him actually was he came to the screening for the Forest Hills, the first cut at Huntington Cinema Arts Center. And, that August, he died by the way of suicide. And Scott actually reached out to me, and he was like, "I'd love to dedicate it to him." You know, so one of the dedications in the movie is to him. And yeah, man, it sucks, man, because you do, you know, it affects so many people. Not only, you know, it's a terrible thing.
It is, and I just want to say I'm so sorry you had to go through that, and I can only imagine just how difficult it was to deal with that. And yeah, I just, yeah.
Thank you, man. No, it's you know, it's you know, you go through life and you know you lose like relatives and stuff, and they're older and everything, but burying your buddy, man, is just not a good thing. It's not the way that shit goes. Parents burying their kid. You know, that's just not how it should be. And yeah, man, like I just see like how the life that we live now, like you said, you know, you take these chances and stuff. And I'm just so fortunate to be with guys that do take those chances like these guys, and, you know, to associate myself with them and to be in that company, man, you know, because even myself, I go through my mental health. You know, mental health is a motherfucker.
It is. It really is.
You can have your good days, you can have your bad days, and like, you know, like you always have to look at the bright side of shit, because if you dwell on that negative thing, it could take you.
Oh, it can. Oh, it really truly can. And just to add up on the whole thing about taking chances, you know, oftentimes so many of us are horrified about taking chances is because that we're just so scared that what if it doesn't work out? The other side of that coin, though, what if it does?
It's true.
Yeah. Right.
And that's even like part of the Forest Hills goes into that. It's a mental health movie. It's more of a mental health movie than a horror movie. I look at it as it has its horror elements, but it also deals with, you know, someone's mental deterioration and stuff. And it doesn't go diagnosed, if it doesn't go like treated or whatever, the results could be disastrous.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it could be so bad, like where they end up taking their own life, and then and then hurt all these people like who truly loved that person, and then even worse, there will come times where, and then those people who are hurt, and then all that pain is passed on to them, and it's just a never-ending cycle, like of a really bad effect.
Yes,
sure,
absolutely, yeah. And if I could repay the compliment that Nick gave, I just want to say that, I mean, Scott and I know each other for what, 12, 13 years maybe. But I met, like Nick, I met a lot of great people. And from Scott I already knew, but a lot of great people on cast and crew on this film, you know. And
Sure.
I actually went into it, you know, Scott, I've seen Scott's work before. Scott's work was phenomenal. He did short horror movies, you know, and I trust his vision and everything like that. And, you know, we went into this and I had no concept or clue that Shelley Duval and, you know, and Eddie Furlong and Dee Wallace would be part of it, you know.
Yeah, so, and that's, you know, testament to, you know, belief of like Elliot and everyone else, you know, that, you know, put the time and effort into to try and make this film as successful as possible. And, you know, so given the opportunity to, you know, work with people like that and have everyone, you know, work together and try to make this a successful project, you know, like I said, we're in the early stages still of the release, and you know, we're excited about what's to come, and we feel that, you know, it's gonna slowly find its audience and go from there. You know, I mean, we want it to be quicker, obviously, but you know, at the same time, you know, it's just about building that. You know, we have it organically, but now it's about like taking those next steps to, you know, getting it out even further. So.
Oh yeah, certainly, and yeah, actually, as a matter of fact, after we get done with this, episode. Matter of fact, I will post on Facebook, like telling all of my, you know, friends on Facebook and even all my followers, like on my Instagram page. I'll tell all of them, look, I just checked this movie out. It was phenomenal. Please go. You know, I mean, when you have time, of course, definitely go check it out.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. Certainly.
Thank you.
Yeah. Certainly.
This is great. I really do appreciate you having us on, man. That's what it's all about, you know, networking and just getting to know each other and shooting the shit, man. This was a great interview.
Oh yeah, certainly, yeah, and yeah, it actually was my first time ever having more than one person on. So
okay,
oh yeah, we got a party going on.
Yeah, buddy.
That's how New Yorkers do it, you know.
Yeah, we're from Long Island, so Long Island.
We're club boys.
So besides your talk about the Forest Hills too, is there anything else like that you all have, like is there anything else like that you all like want to do, like for like a project in the future?
I have a lot of pitch decks and screenplays and stuff, but you know, it just depends on the right timing. You know, sometimes you know, have stuff, right? Like it could be music, it could be albums that you do, it could be anything artistic or whatever, but it just has to be the right time and place, you know. So we'll see with the success and potential success where this takes us, and see kind of like what can be built on from there. About that, you know?
Yep, and it's also one of those things, I mean, going back to Terrifier, like knowing that Damien Leone busted his ass for 10 years doing that. And yeah, I mean, it's really something that you got to be persistent about. And, you know, like you only fail only when you stop trying.
Point. Yeah. Great point. You're totally right on that for sure.
Yeah. And unfortunately, there will be a lot of people who will tell you no, but, you know, you just got to keep at it. I mean, with every no, it eventually will get you a lot closer to your yes.
Yeah.
I think it makes you more confident too, man. I mean, as far as, you know, you believing in yourself and selling yourself, like you got to sell the best version of yourself for someone to believe in it. It makes you more confident of a person of the shit that you're trying to sell, man. You know, so like that's you know, I have a podcast. I do my podcast. I have a band. My new album for the band is coming out December 3rd. I have a couple other movie projects right now lined up that I'm doing, and you know, just promoting the Forest Hills, getting it out there, and you know, continuing to have open communication with these cats, you know, and just that's what I do. And Dad, that's my thing, man. Number one.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's all it's about.
Yeah, and I mean, it should make you all feel excited knowing that Victor Miller, who wrote Friday the 13th, he actually does watch my podcast, and so on, and therefore Victor, you know, shout out to Victor. But yeah, I mean, Victor, he is one of the most blunt people I have ever met, and that's what I love about him, is that he won't sugarcoat anything, and so yeah, and Victor, and then we'll watch this and check it out, and then he'll give his brutally honest opinion.
I would love to hear Victor Miller's take on this also. And if anything, please, let's get another Friday 13th movie out there.
Yeah,
man.
finally.
Please.
Finally. It's been like, what, 15 years now? And
2009.
I was a freshman in high school at that time, and I'm now in my 30s. So,
right.
I mean, shit. Since then, Halloween is rebooted twice. So, like, I think we deserve another Friday the 13th movie. It doesn't even have to be about anything. Let's just get back to basics. Get them in the fucking camp. Kill them. Do their thing. The open ending. We're good. Let's get another 10 of them. I'm ready.
Oh yeah, certainly, yeah. And I mean, it's a real shame that that there's been all those legal issues, and and I give mad props to
appreciate that. Thank you
for having to deal with all that stuff, because I can imagine
it sucks, man.
It's not fun at all.
No, not at all. You got to protect what's yours. So like, you can't blame these guys trying to do it. So hopefully they realize that the fan base is very strong at this point, and we're thirsty. So,
yeah, definitely
we're ready. So whatever version of Jason it is, or whatever version of Friday the 13th it is, we want it. So I'm for one that definitely am a fan.
Yeah, which is why that, in my own opinion, I think that's one of the reasons why there was so much hype about those fan films. Like, I think one was called Never Hike Alone, and there was that and part 2 of that, and all these other fan films. That's probably one of the reasons why that fans got so excited for that, is because that was the closest that they could get to a new movie. So
those do get great hits. I do see that they they do get reviewed pretty well, and and again, even like those films, right? Like, people crap on those, but then there's a fan base as well. So it just goes to show you, it's like, can't please everyone when it comes to movies, but I've seen some of the stuff. It looks pretty good, and I've kind of thought about, like, man, that'd be kind of cool to make one as well, but haven't gotten around to it. But there was a Halloween movies contest. It was a fan film thing, maybe like, I don't know, maybe 2007 or 8, and it was like, come up with your own concept for Halloween. So I've always had this idea that Michael Myers, the human form of him dies, but the boogeyman is a shape, like an actual black shape that is, because I don't know if you ever had night terrors or whatever.
Yeah.
And sometimes, in night terrors, I would see, like, at the doorway when I was like 10 years old, I can't move, half awake, half asleep. This guy, like, raised with a knife in the air, and he'd come to me in, like, flash to the side of my bed. But I just remember seeing, like, a dark figure, and I thought, like, how terrifying that was. So I felt like if Michael Myers, like, died, but evil still lived, and there was, like, an actual boogeyman that was a complete blacked out, boogeyman type character that would kill people on Halloween, and kind of like death, kind of like, as Dr. Loomis would say, death has come to your town, little town. I think that would be more scarier than just having, the same thing reprised over time and time again by, like, a Michael Myers character with a mask. That would have been kind of cool, just to have Michael Myers as a human die, and then, like, just have, like an actual shape. That'd be
cool.
Oh yeah.
But, so that was my idea.
Now, you talking about fan films for Friday 13th. One of the movies that I'm going to be working on is with a director named Peter Anthony, and he made Roseblood, which is a Friday the 13th fan film. Yep. I'm working on a movie called Laugh with him, but if you ever check out Roseblood, it's pretty good, man. Like, he's in it with Terry Kaiser, who played Bernie Lomax.
Right, yeah.
Bernie and the
so he's going to be in Laugh as well. So I'm looking forward to doing that. We shoot in September for that.
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. Love that, man.
Oh yeah. But yeah. And I certainly wish you the best of luck on all that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Of course. And going back to Michael Myers, you all probably already know, like, about how they made that mask, like how it was like a William Shatner mask. Yep. They modified it. I can't help but wonder, how does William Shatner feel about that?
Well, he's never asked.
He signs them now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
he does. I have a Michael Myers mask signed by William Shatner.
Wow,
that's awesome.
But he doesn't give a shit. He'll sign anything. He makes $250 for his signature or whatever it is.
Yeah, like, it's
the only thing he doesn't like is if you don't pay for a picture with him. Because
let's play a little Michael Myers trivia. So what character says this and which one? I said I can't take it, Mom. He's dead. Michael Myers is dead.
Halloween H2O.
Yep.
Which is funny that you say that because a month ago I actually did have Christopher on.
Yeah, cool, man.
Oh, nice, man.
Yeah,
Katie Sackhoff, what's her name from Halloween Resurrection? I see that she does like her own YouTube channel. She actually did like Did you see that? Yeah, did you see that review? She actually like watches Halloween Resurrection.
I saw that.
Yeah, that was really cool. Because
I like, you know what? People shit on Resurrection. Like, I like it.
It's entertaining. I just didn't like it at the time, unfortunately. But it's entertaining.
The mask is bad. But you know what? Like the story, like how like the beginning, like he pulled the deception and like killed the fucking like the doctor, not the doctor, the paramedic or whatever, and like, you know, put the mask on his head. Dude, that was cool. I like
that was the story, right? Because remember Jamie Lee Curtis said like that there was she's like, I'll do H2O, but you know, blah blah, I have to die in it. Like, no, Michael Myers has to die. But then like at the end, like they were talking about, he's like, well, Jamie, it's a clause. You know, I'm sure you guys have probably heard the story.
I heard that, yeah.
Yeah, and so you know, she's like, I don't die. I mean, he doesn't die, and it's like, well, it's gonna look like he dies, you know. So it was just funny.
Thank God, because look at then she made the next 3 of them that she just made. And then she probably made more money off of those than she did in all of them.
Yeah.
I can imagine. And I wouldn't be surprised as if she said, okay, this time I get to have it my way. This time I get to finally kill him. I would not be surprised if that's what happened. I mean, considering spoilers, the ending of Halloween Ends, knowing that she finally killed him.
Yeah, but you know what, dude? Money will never kill the boogeyman.
Definitely not. No. I mean, it was the end. Now, it might have been the end of that particular timeline, yes.
Right.
Franchise in general, oh, heavens no. Heavens no. Money talks.
You know what would have been sick? I would have loved for them at the very end of Halloween Ends, where they show the mask and it's sitting on the table or whatever.
Yeah.
Dude, if they zoomed into it and it was a silver shamrock mask and they like tied it into part 3 and then brought part 3 into its own thing and gave that some new life.
Yeah.
Because I love part 3. Like, talk about a movie that got shit on for decades before it got its cult following.
Yeah, definitely.
Halloween 3, man, Season of the Witch.
Yeah, and I'm not going to lie. I was one of those people who jumped on the bandwagon and hate on that movie because, there's no Michael Myers. But then,
yeah, me too.
You know, years and years later, I grew more as a person. I matured more. I developed more. Then I was like, you know what? Why don't I give this movie an honest second chance and, go into it unbiased, set aside the Halloween 3 title, set aside that there's no Michael Myers in it. Well, technically, I mean, there's that moment where Michael Myers on the TV, like with the original Halloween. But that aside, so, I honest to God gave it I honestly went back and I rewatched it and I'm like, man, it's definitely nowhere near as bad as people said it is. Like,
not at all.
I definitely love the score.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
The score is really good.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And yeah, like honestly, the score is so good where I actually bought the soundtrack on iTunes. So
yeah, I have the vinyl actually. I have it in my archives somewhere. And of course, the Forest Hills, we have Stacey Nelkin from Halloween 3.
Yeah, she was Debbie, and that was shot in Elliot's kitchen actually. Where the sister talked to Debbie therapist about her brother. Yeah, it's Stacey Nelkin. That was pretty cool.
That's so cool.
That is awesome, yeah. And and they're also having people have said, oh, it should have been called Season of the Witch. I see where they're coming from, but logically, it's not about a witch. So
I go by I go by what Carpenter wanted to do. Like a lot of people like the sequel, and Halloween 2 is good and all, but he wrote that drunk. He had 6-pack of beer and just wrote that stuff. He didn't think there was any story past that. So what they were gonna do was, as like every Halloween, they were gonna do like a different story based around the holiday. And that would have been the best, man, because how many times can you do Michael Myers and all these films? But, people wanted, that's why he returned in part 4 and 5 was just a shit show. Because you know what? Let me tell you one thing. That fucking scene with the clown music, what the fuck was that? Like, I'm like,
that was crazy.
Yeah, like right. It's like you know, it's like the freaking like horns. Like, wasn't I tell you about that like a couple weeks ago? Like,
Yeah.
It was.
That makes me cringe.
There's a lot of head scratches throughout the whole series. It's been
Bucky.
dragged through the mud so many fucking times, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bucky. Yeah.
Even if
You have your producer's cut for 6, which
I
is
like
better
producer's
than
cut a lot.
the regular version.
100%.
Oh, definitely. But you know, there's that infamous scene, I believe in that cut of the movie where it said that Michael Myers had sex with his own niece.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. And now from my own experience, you know, I mean, of course, people can have their own opinions, but I haven't heard anybody say anything good about that part of that version of that movie. And like, people have argued, yeah, Michael Myers is evil, but sex isn't really his thing. So,
I mean, I guess they had to connect somehow the Curse of Thorns somehow, and you know,
yeah.
Something. So yeah, so that's probably that was producer's cut versus the theatrical. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, at least it didn't have all that other, you know, like the studios, right? They wanted to like really make it all bloody and the flash crap and stuff like that, like Michael Myers killing. Because I think that wasn't in the producer's cut, like right, Nick and everyone, like that. Yeah, that wasn't in that.
No.
So, but what about Dr. Loom? You know, but Donald Pleasance is the final film. I mean, you know, I think he did really good with that. But it was sad to see him. Unfortunately, did he ever see the final? Did he ever watch it? Or
No,
I'm not sure. No,
he died during the making of it.
So that's a real.
Were they planning to film more with him, or they were done with him at that point?
Who knows? I'm sure he would have popped up in parts. I mean, they still even used him in like the newer shit with the doctor that was obsessed with him. That was like Dr. Sartain was Dr. Loomis's like dude. And then they had the flashback with the guy that looked like him.
Yeah.
Now let me tell you something. That was the best part of the whole movie was the fucking flashback sequence.
Oh, it was.
I wasn't a fan of Kills. I like Halloween Ends, but Kills I thought was too.
I like Ends a lot.
Ends was great. I loved Ends.
Yep, it was different, and then you know their kind of take on Christine. So you know, shitter.
Shitter.
Yeah, and
I keep on telling Scott that's where my name from the movie came from, but he tells me it's fucking Gilbert Grape. I'm like, dude, it's Arnie from Christine, bro. But he's like, nah, it's Gilbert Grape. I'm like, nah, whatever, you know.
Yeah, and something that I noticed about that new trilogy, like of those movies, Halloween 2018 is a lot like the 78 movie. How Halloween Kills like is pretty similar to Halloween 2, like how Laurie is in the hospital, like in both movies, and Halloween Ends is a lot like Halloween 3 in the sense like where it's very, very different, and even it uses the same font as Halloween 3.
It does. That's why they should have tied it in with the fucking Silver Shamrock thing at the end.
They should have.
It would have been such a great golden goose egg for us as fans.
Because at the end of part 2, he was looking at the radar tower. So like, was there something about the radar tower that was like, you know, controlling Mike? I don't know. So, but they didn't really like expand on any of that stuff.
And yeah, like that really truly was a missed opportunity. Like about to tie in like Halloween 3 into Halloween Ends. Yeah, that really, really, truly was a missed opportunity.
And Laurie wasn't even upset that her own like daughter. I don't know. It was 2 years later or whatever, and she wasn't like really. I don't know. I guess she.
She's been through it a couple of times already.
Yeah. I guess that she became a lot more thick skinned after that.
I feel bad about Danielle Harris because I know she had said something about like remember like when she took a picture with Jamie Lee Curtis and like she didn't know who they were. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, man.
Because there's that
like shit.
Right? There's that connection with like when you're in Halloween 4 and like you and the character of Jamie Lloyd. You know, is the mother that you know that supposedly what was it was it a car accident or something like that in part 4 that like happened like Jamie Lee Curtis's character or something, but you know she doesn't really watch the Halloween, so I kind of when I heard about it I kind of felt bad, you know, because it's like she's like what was the actual thing like who are you? I forgot what it was like how
she said she didn't know who she was and she explained, oh yeah, I played your daughter in part 4 and she's like, oh I never saw that, I haven't seen any of other than the ones that I was in.
Danielle Harris actually I wanted her to actually work with her. When we ended up picking Felissa Rose to work with Shelley, because when I contacted Danielle Harris, she was excited, but I think the manager, because it was a non-union film, respectfully so, like she couldn't do it. So I think she would have done it, which would have been cool because I've always been a fan of Danielle. So
yeah, me too, man.
But I mean, Felissa obviously she nailed the character of the Doctor. She did.
Oh
yeah, she's cool, man. With Felissa too, that's a role that, like you said, she auditioned for that because you never even saw her in a role like that before. So like that's totally something different from what she's usually doing.
Yeah, on YouTube, like in general, like you see like a lot of the things she played like a maniacal like character and evil laugh and stuff. So but she's so sweet and kind. So like she really connected with the type of Doctor character that would be needed for the situation with with Mama, the character of Mama, for sure. Yeah, and it's funny. I'm telling this about Nick on he has a podcast, Primal Scream podcast. We were discussing about the whole like thing about like Felissa, and I said I really feel like Felissa Rose is like type of person who's really sincere, because like when we go to work, and I told the Nick too, like, probably the same kind of exact words, but when we go to work, we put in a face. Like right now, I'm at a lot of the people who probably work aren't really lucky they have to do that because it's a job. Understandably so, we all do that to some degree and facet of what we do in life. But I so real. I feel like Felissa Rose is like so real. Like when she like really talks to someone, she's really listening. She's not putting on a facade. You can't say that about a lot of people. It's a beautiful thing. So I have nothing but praise about Rose and the type of person that she.
No, she's cool, man.
Oh yeah, certainly. Yeah, and I mean the few times that I talked to her on Facebook, honestly, I thought that she was one of like the most fun people to talk to, and all of my friends like who have met her at cons, they all have just said positive thing after positive thing about her, and I mean ultimately I can see why that she has the fan base that she does.
I mean, it's amazing that she convention every weekend. It's really amazing. I mean, it really is.
Much, yeah.
She makes a career out of it, man.
Yeah.
I still haven't. I have to get the photo up with her for the end of Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah, do it.
It's so ridiculous.
Oh yeah, and Elliot, let me know if you're gonna come out December 8th, right at Cinema Arts Center. She'll be Felissa Rose will be there she's doing like a Sleepaway Camp Q&A and talk. Was it talk through, Nick? It's like she's doing commentary on the actual film.
Yeah, and she's gonna do like a Q&A at the end.
Awesome. Oh, that's great. I'll get the info from you. Sure.
That's my it's my birthday too.
December 8th.
Yeah.
December 8th.
Yeah.
The day Lennon was killed. John Lennon. Yeah. Jeez.
And Dimebag Darrell.
And Dimebag Darrell. That's right. Yeah.
What a coincidence, huh?
Yep. The darkest day of music is my birthday. And Nick and Razzle from Hanoi Rocks. Vince Neil killed him in a car accident.
Really? Wow. Damn.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Bad day.
I know how you feel because the Sandy Hook shooting happened on my birthday.
Wow.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
You know what, dude? I'm a big advocate of like gun control in this world. I told you before about politics, but gun control is one thing that I do firmly. I talked out on it a bunch of times. And I always say that if 20 first grade kids getting massacred in a fucking school, getting shot, didn't change anything, nothing ever will. That is one of the worst fucking things that could ever happen in this lifetime.
Yeah.
And like, it's so like, I just want to hug each one of those parents, even like with that guy that like says like it was a hoax or whatever. And he has like that podcast. What a piece of shit he is, dude.
Yeah. It's like, it's like, what would they gain out of that? And like, that would be just such a morbid thing to lie about. Like to lie about all these innocent children and even teachers getting murdered. It's like, that is just such an evil thing to do. And that would just seem like just such a waste of time and energy to like fake all that.
I will say this, and this is a good opportunity for anyone who's looking, because I always see the ads pop up. Sandy Hook Promise, please look into it. I always
I've donated
time, and so if you can, is it people are Nick? They could donate to that. Is that what it like? It's like
Yeah.
So,
I donate at least once a year to it. I always post on the anniversary. Like I said, I don't put my political views out there, but one thing that for those families, being a father, that's my biggest fear every fucking day.
Oh,
dropping my kid off to school.
1,000%. Yeah.
When was
the date of Sandy Hook again?
It's the 20th of
December 14th.
14th.
December 14th. Yes. Oh, wow. Yeah, actually, no. So talking about bad birthdays, my birthday is November 22nd, which everybody knows that shooting, right?
That's JFK.
Kennedy. JFK, yeah. So Scott, you're the only one left. When's your birthday?
When is it? June, right?
Look it up. Is there been any like?
Wait, what date? What date?
June 23rd.
June what?
23rd.
Oh, I don't know anything offhand. Yeah.
Probably like the last day of school, for kids and stuff. School's out.
It's a good thing.
It's a good day. Yeah, we can't all be like morbid and shit.
Well, isn't school? Isn't like that also like school? That's for high school too, right? I think is like.
Yeah, around that time.
It's like I think maybe middle school is maybe earlier, but I know probably below that, it would probably be like. I don't know. The kids get out in May at this point. Probably June. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the school districts do. So
school's out forever, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was funny. As soon as you said that, the first thing that came to my mind was that song by Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you all haven't seen Alice Cooper live, definitely do so. It's because he puts on one hell of a show live.
100%, man.
Very cool. Even at the age, it's awesome. Yeah, some people.
Hey, I got you a good thing for your birthday, dude. 1979, Charlie Daniels Band releases "The Devil Went Down to Georgia," June 23rd. There you go, bro. Is that your actual birthday, the 79, or you were 80?
82.
Oh.
Anything then? Probably not.
No. Now, Nintendo 64 went on sale in 1996.
Oh, wow. Barry
Bonds became the first to steal second base against the Dodgers, becoming the first player in history to have 500 home runs and 500 steals.
Wow.
And
a 500-inch bicep.
That's a pretty big bicep.
The whole Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa thing for 9 is crazy.
Oh yeah, man, that was crazy back in the day. That whole fucking home run thing, dude.
Yeah, holy shit. And now Sammy Sosa looks so well.
He's bleached now.
Yeah, I know. Now, is that from Villago, or did he do that on purpose? Like, I don't know.
Oh, dude, no, that's definitely not. That's from like Michael Jackson therapy.
Right. Yeah. Michael Jackson. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's a shame that Michael Jackson died, but
that was June 25th, by the way.
Oh,
Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Close by, close.
Yeah, close enough.
Farrah Fawcett, the same day.
Same day, correct? Yeah.
Really? When did she pass? Oh, the same day. Oh, yes, the
same day.
Same day, same year. Yeah.
By a huge coincidence, and even recently, I saw that like a year ago, one of the Harry Potter people died. And then this year, another one died too, and by a huge coincidence, they both died on the exact same day.
It's crazy.
And what about the poltergeist thing, huh? Right? Isn't that crazy? The poltergeist curse? Who died?
Right. That's true. Heather O'Rourke died. Yeah. The old guy, I forgot his name. He died.
Well, he had cancer too.
Dominique Dunn, she got murdered.
Yeah, she did. Right? Yeah, the murder.
Yeah.
The whatchamacallit, the Reverend had terminal cancer while filming.
Yeah. Right.
Second one. And then the chief that was in
really, he died. Oh wow.
Cuckoo's Nest, I think he died like shortly after. Yeah.
What kind of cancer did he have?
I don't know, dude.
Oh shit. Yeah, the poltergeist, man, that was great. Yeah, 3 wasn't that great, but the second one was creepy. The Reverend guy, Reverend Kane. Ooh.
Oh, dude, that's one of the creepiest guys ever in movies.
Yeah, let me in.
And as far as I could tell, I mean, nobody from like the 2015 version like has gone killed or hurt or anything, as far as I know. So, which definitely is a good thing. But I mean, ultimately, the 2015 movie, it's like, look, I get it. They put a lot of hard work into it.
Yeah.
After I got out of the theater watching it, I just felt underwhelmed.
I never went back for a second with that.
I never did either. And it speaks volumes. I only saw it that one time, and that was almost 10 years ago now.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
That is crazy. I mean, time just zooms on by.
You know what it is? Like the original one and the second one is so good that, like, if I'm going to spend time watching any of them, I'm going to go there. You know, I don't know. Maybe I should watch the new one just to see. But I like you said, dude, I was underwhelmed too, bro.
Yeah, definitely. And that scene with the CGI batshit crazy squirrel, it's like they invested all that money into that part of the movie, and it just felt so unnecessary.
Yeah. I haven't seen it, so I'm not sure, but it was not good, huh? Like the Mummy, that looks outdated nowadays. Like, wow, the Mummy, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. You ever see that on YouTube? Like someone actually redo it actually on YouTube, and it looked pretty decent actually.
Oh yeah, certainly. But yeah, I mean, even that's better than the one with Tom Cruise.
I haven't seen that. There's a Mummy with Tom Cruise? Oh shit!
That just came out like last year, right?
No, it was in 2017, and like they were trying to pull a Batman v Superman by trying to have a whole shared cinematic universe, which made sense on the economic level. It's because of how Marvel made a shit ton of money off of the Avengers, and so then Universe was like, hey, we already have our shared universe with all these monsters, so let's cash in. Great idea on paper, but the problem was they were more so focused on setting up other movies rather than that one movie.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, and ultimately that backfired on them because all their future movies and then got canceled. Like they were going to do a Wolfman like with Dwayne Johnson. They're going to do Invisible Man with Johnny Depp. And then all that got canceled because the Tom Cruise Mummy didn't do as well as they hoped.
The new Wolfman's coming out. I forget who's in it, but I don't know. I'll go check it out. That's the one thing. Like I'll always give something a shot, just to go see what they maybe it'll shock me.
Yeah,
I think that comes out in January, and there was this one viral video, video or picture, whatever it was, of like at one of the Universal parks about how they had like this promotion for the movie, and there was this guy in a costume promoting the movie, and it doesn't look like a werewolf at all. It's more of like a goblin looking thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Like they, it was for the whatchamacallit, the Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah.
People like ripped it apart because it didn't look like anything like their idea of what a werewolf should look like.
And to be fair, I don't think that that's what he's actually going to look like in the movie itself. I think that they're going to save the reveal for the movie itself.
They have to.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. It's so much better to do that.
Absolutely. I didn't mind the last one they did with Benicio del Toro. I thought that was pretty cool. I liked that. That was good. Rick Baker came back and did the special effects. So, I'm looking, whatever. I'll check it out.
Oh, yeah, certainly. And
I'll be right back.
Okay, cool.
Well, it's just you and me now.
All right, perfect. But yeah. And so I guess in your own opinion, since that you did the Forest Hills, have you ever been much of like a horror fan?
I mean, yes and no, not as much as Nick and Scott, and this is my first real venture into filmmaking. I mean, I don't know if if Scott mentioned, but in real life, I'm a physician, so so I do that. This is my main job, but I put a lot of time and effort into the movie also, along with Scott and Nick. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. And I mean, I can imagine that I totally caught you off guard, like about, like to be a part of the Forest Hills.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, but like I said, Scott, I know Scott for a long while, and, he did film, he did film in my house previously, short horror films and everything. And then he called me up in April of 22. You know, I'm making my first full length feature film. Would you like to be my executive producer? And I said, yeah. It was, you know, I want to help Scott out also because I know Scott's very talented filmmaker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I thought it was like a good opportunity. My daughter likes to sing and act, and like I said, both my kids are in School of Rock, and they're very musical, and so I thought it would be a good opportunity for them to get like a little bit, you know, like a cameo, I guess. And I had no idea I was going to have a cameo either. I had no idea about that, you know. So yeah, so actually, what I was going to do was like in the movie, Rico like kidnaps my kids, and I'm the old guy that runs in and scoops them up and saves them. But I just originally I had to run up from behind. I grabbed them by the hands and ran off. And Scott said, you know, try it again, but you know, just like scoop them up from behind like this. But it was just like it was a bad angle because I was coming from behind, scooping them up and then turning. And I didn't even realize I dropped my daughter because I tore my bicep when I did that.
Oh God!
You know? Yeah, I tore my bicep and I dropped my daughter, and I'm in so much pain now because my bicep, you know, was a partial tear. And people coming over, are you okay? And I'm like, oh no, you know, my arm's killing me. And they go, we're not talking about you, we're talking about your daughter. I had no idea I dropped it because I was in so much pain from tearing it. Yeah, but
oh God,
yeah,
that must have been awful. And yeah, I mean, I certainly hope that you've been able to heal it ever since then.
Oh no, of course, yeah, it healed physical therapy. And
everything. Good.
Oh no, I'm fine. I'm back to doing my procedures and stuff at work. But then some months later, Scott said to me after most of the filming was done, he said, you know, I need you to do a courtroom scene. You know, so I'm not an actor or anything, so I said sure. He just wanted to tie everything together, so we went down to this courthouse in Glen Cove. It's actually kind of a famous old courthouse. It was actually where North by Northwest, there was a courtroom scene in that with Cary Grant. Yeah. So they filmed it. They filmed it in there. Yeah. So yeah. So that was interesting. And we needed to get like, if I remember correctly, we needed to get like a bunch of people for, you know, jury and courtroom scene and everything. And I think the night that we filmed it, it was absolutely pouring that night outside. And it was very hard to get, you know, people there. And plus,
I can imagine.
Yeah. And plus, I think the shooting date was changed a bit. So we couldn't get all these people there. So that's why the courtroom scene is just like a lot of close-ups and everything like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But Rico's attorney was one of my son's Little League friend's father. So he did show up. To his credit, he showed up. Yeah. Thank you, Mike. Thanks, Mike Holman.
Oh yeah, definitely. And so I guess out of curiosity, was the Forest Hills your first time ever investing into a movie?
Yes, but it's not, you know, not really as like a passive investor because, you know, I had a lot of hands-on with this, you know, between communicating with Scott and the crew and the cast and everything else. I mean, it was kind of like a full-time thing in addition to my regular job. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was, you know, a lot of work, a lot of communication with Scott, you know, pretty much like every day, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, heck, like just knowing that you invested into, I believe it was Shelley Duval's first movie in over 20 years. And I believe it's now her last movie. And so I can only imagine just how that makes you feel.
Right. Yeah. I mean, after she passed away, other than the, you know, the obvious like sorrow that she passed away, which is actually the main thing. It's like I became, you know, I said, not to make light of it, but I kind of said like half kiddingly to my family. I was kind of like, you know, I become a footnote, like I cut her last check for, you know, for a, you know, for our acting job. She had a magnificent career. I'm like so sorry that, you know, she passed and everything like that. It's a big loss. But as we were saying before, it really was good. And Dan Gilroy, you know, confirms it was really a good thing for her mental state and for happiness and everything else. She really loved doing it. And she wanted to get back into it, you know, into the entertainment field at that time, you know. It was a big absence, over 20 years.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, from what I've heard, I heard that her doing The Shining is one of the things like that broke her mentally. From my understanding, from what I've heard,
right
now, I don't have the full story. From what I heard, like that the director made her do take after take after take after take after take. It's like I get why that he did that, especially like for Jack's performance, because I think that definitely did add to his performance. Well, like it made his anger a lot more genuine, which made him a lot more intimidating. So I do get why that he did it. It's just a real shame that it had to cost Shelley her mental health.
Right. I mean, it was not just like you're correct. It was like take after take. But my understanding also is that she was kind of put in a situation where she was isolated. So her character would be isolated in that, big palace, hotel that they were in, palatial hotel they were in the middle of winter, So he kept her, off and isolated just for her character to do that. Yeah. And it was a lot on her.
And that's a real shame. Like it really, really, truly is. And it's like, it's that movie always will be a part of like the legacy like that she leaves behind now. And and of course like that and Popeye and some others are what she will always be remembered best for. It's just, I just really can't emphasize enough just how much of a shame it is knowing that broke her mentally. And it's like, I definitely wish it turned out better for her, but you can't change what happened.
Yeah. I mean, there are very memorable scenes like stills in the movie. You think of all these ones like the last scene in Planet of the Apes, or Jack Nicholson sticking his head in the broken door. Here's Johnny, and another one is Shelley Duval with that knife. With that big knife in the bathroom. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the longest cigarette ash in film history.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
We actually have a picture of her. She was doing an interview or something, and we did a side-by-side comparison. I don't know who has it, but she still smoked the cigarette the same way. Like when I was there in the house with her filming, I was watching her doing it. She was holding it the exact same way, and the ash, like whatever, it was like right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and even from what I heard, I even heard that Stephen King himself, he did not like that version of The Shining at all. And from what I heard,
Stephen King, that's why he wanted to do another one.
Exactly, and so that's why that he did the TV remake, which was a lot more faithful to the book. Which I mean, I get why that he did that, but ultimately, people remember the movie version, and not the
Kubrick. I think Kubrick and Stephen King had like a very weird relationship too. I think like Kubrick would call him up in the middle of the night and ask him like, "Do you believe in God and shit?" and like would fuck with him. So they just had like a very weird rapport, and he just didn't like the turnout. But I've heard that with Stephen King with a lot of his stuff. Like he didn't like How Children of the Corn came out and wanted that redone. And I think Salem's Lot was another one too.
Yep. Yeah, and matter of fact, Children of the Corn, it was remade the first time in 2009, and then recently it got like a second remake.
Yeah. Dude, nothing. I know it for me growing up, that original Children of the Corn is the Children of the Corn. Like, you're not going to get a better like Isaac. Like that dude was made to play Isaac, I feel.
Definitely.
And like Courtney Gaines, who played Malachi, was like perfect. You had a young Linda Hamilton was in it, and I thought they did a good job. The music was good. I thought it was a good story.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's just, man, it's just rather really, really interesting about how that was just a short story that he wrote, knowing that it expanded into an entire franchise of movie after movie after movie. And and I just find that really fascinating how just a short story can like spawn an entire series of films.
Yeah. I have a funny story about Stephen King. I went to like Bangor, Maine for a trip once, and I went on like this whole Stephen King tour. And this guy named Stu, he's like a local guy, and he'll take you to like the locations of where Stephen King would sometimes sit and get inspired by something. Like he took us to like the drainage ditch where he got inspired to write it. Like he took us to like the cemetery where they filmed Pet Cemetery, just a bunch of stuff. But he was telling me this story about how Stephen King was walking down the street and this old woman came up to him and she was like, "Oh my God," she's like, "You're that author that writes those horrific stories and they make them into even more horrific movies." So he goes, well, what kind of movies are you into? You know, like, I'm so sorry that you're not like into that, but and she was like, "Oh, I love decent movies, you know, like The Shawshank Redemption." And he goes, "Well, actually, The Shawshank Redemption, I wrote that, and that's my story." And she's like, "No, it can't be." And I'm like, "For sure it was The Four Seasons. It was like one of the short stories that he had written." But the woman had no idea that he was capable of writing something like that, because Shawshank's not really like a horror story, you know?
But I don't think that was the original title, though. I think it was Shawshank and Betty Davis, or Shawshank and
Rita Hayworth.
Something like that. Yeah.
It was Rita Hayworth.
Rita Hayworth. That's it. Thank you. Rita Hayworth. Yeah.
Well, we lost Scott. He bounced. I guess he had to go do some other stuff or whatever.
Was he in the hospital there?
Yeah, he was.
Wow.
Yeah. Honestly, I was kind of having a hard time telling. Okay, is he at the airport? Is he at a hospital? Like, or what?
No, his like legit. Like, he told me his son was born yesterday, like during the day.
Oh wow,
so,
awesome.
Yeah, he's still at the hospital right now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past him, man. Scott's driven and he does his thing, you know. But
definitely,
you know, he had to definitely attend to his family and stuff. But yeah, I actually have to. I got to wrap it up too myself because I have work in the morning.
Yeah,
so,
same here. I probably should wrap it up too. I mean,
no, this was great. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
this is awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you again. Yeah, man.
Oh yeah, certainly, of course, and I definitely would love to have you all. But yeah, I definitely would love to have you all. But yeah, I would love to do like a part 2.
Yeah, man.
That would be awesome.
Please.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah, certainly.
Where do you post this? Is you going to post this on your Facebook and stuff, or your Instagram?
I'll share it on Facebook and YouTube. Currently, my podcast is currently going through a transition where I am going to add an intro. I actually did get Michelle Dawson to actually agree to do the intro like that. She'll say, "Hey, it's Michelle Dawson. And you're watching Sit Down by the Fire. I'm going to add a theme song." And it's also is going to go on Spotify and all of these other, platforms rather than just YouTube. And so, it's going through that big transition.
That's wonderful.
Well, I'm sure Scott has the link or whatever. I'll definitely repost it. We'll do like cross promotion and stuff, dude. I'll definitely plug the show on my my next podcast I'm having on next Thursday. So
awesome. And about that podcast, is that like your own podcast or what?
Yeah, it's called Primal Scream with Nick Graystone.
Okay, cool. I definitely would love to be a part of that.
Yeah, anytime, man. I'd love to have you on there. We could obviously we speak the same language, bro. We shoot the shit. We'll talk about music, movies, whatever, bro. Anytime.
Right, yeah, certainly. Matter of fact, I think that I'll add you both now on Facebook.
That's probably the best way to start it.
Let's do that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'll add you, Nick, and then I'll add you, Elliot, and we will.
Sounds great. Great.
Keep in touch.
Eric, again, thank you for having us on, man. This is great.
Oh yeah, certainly.
Yeah, thank you again. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So usually, what I end this podcast with, I will ask my guests, is there any life advice that they want to give my audience, and what's their advice to anybody who wants to pursue entertainment?
Nick, why don't you go first? Because you're more in the entertainment field than I am.
Just keep punching, never stop. Always believe that you're worth it to tell your own story. No one gets to tell your own story but you. So I feel that if you follow that, and you'll be content with what you have to put out there in the world.
Certainly. Oh yeah, certainly, and yeah, and I think that is, but yeah, I think that that's fantastic advice. And so, Elliot, how would you answer that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think no matter what field you're in, I think the same thing applies if a career in medicine or whatever field you're going to go in, entertainment or whatever. Exactly what Nick said. I mean, just keep your nose to the grindstone. I know it's a cliche, but don't listen to what anybody else has to say. You do what you want to do. It's very important in life to do what you're going to love doing for for decades. That's the most important thing. I don't think a lot of people end up doing that. I think they get stuck in a job that they go through the rest of their life. But you really have to love what you're doing. That's for sure. And
Exactly.
entertainment's one of those fields where you bring a lot of joy to millions of people, and it's a very important field. Mm-hmm.
Exactly, and and to that I say, you can fail at what you don't want, so you might as well should go take a chance at doing what you love.
Bingo.
100%, bro. You got it.
Amen.
Exactly, 100%. Yeah. Mic drop. Yeah. Well, anyways, but yeah, I got things I got to do tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. So yeah,
wow.
I got a long day ahead of me tomorrow. And yeah, but yeah, Nick, I would love to be on your podcast. And yeah, and I'll be sure to share, Forest Hills and yeah, and I definitely will be sure to. But yeah, I definitely will be sure to to help you out. And yeah,
cool.
But yeah, it was a huge honor to have you all on.
No,
thanks, Eric. Man, you have a good night, bro.
Yeah, this was awesome.
You as well.
Have a great night. Get some rest. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
See you later, Elliot. Take care, brother.
Take care. Nick,
yeah.
Pleasure. All right.
Later, brother.
Take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.